everybody!
Steven Brooks!
There it is!
They're great!
You did it!
Yep.
Tony, the tiger?
Oh, it's him.
Yeah, that's...
I was just saying you're great.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, we're not even drunk.
We are, however, recording in person.
Yes.
It has a different energy to it, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
I like it a lot better. It reminds me back from the days when we were living together and we were recording the podcast and we were having a great time. It's much more fun. So, welcome, I guess, back to the living podcast.
In a living room right now.
That's true.
We are alive.
On a couch. Wait.
And the couch is alive as well.
It's actually Rob. I'm sitting on him. Very comfortable.
Yep, that's my side job. I'm a beanbag chair.
This episode is an animation news episode, which you will already know because of the featured image. But what do we talk about?
We talk about Married with Children, the animated series.
Yeah.
Seth Green and his NFT monkey, the new Pinocchio that's coming out. And then we also give what was supposed to be a quick review of the Chippendales movie. Turned out to be an extended conversation.
Not the Chippendales movie. Chippendale Rescue Rangers. But even the thing is, the Chippendale movie.
We talk about Magic Mike.
You wouldn't say the Chippendales movie.
All right, but when you say Beavis and Butthead, the movie, will you say Beavis and Butthead the movie, or do you have to say Beavis and Butthead Do America?
I would say the Beavis and Butthead movie, not the Beavis and Buttheads movie.
Oh,
that's what I'm saying. Is you're saying the Chippendales movie. Chippendales. I mean, those are the strippers.
Yeah.
Chip and Dale are two people. It's the Beavis and
They're not
Butthead
people,
movie.
Sir. There are chipmunks.
You know what? Chipmunks are people too.
That's true.
We also talk about Netflix, the whole episode that we had on Netflix, and we kind of revisit that whole situation.
It was good to be sitting before you and talking face to face without the delay of Zoom.
I'm looking through you.
Yeah, look, you could say something and I'll reply immediately.
I don't have to edit it to sound like we're in the same room because I'll make a joke and then like 2.5 seconds later, he'll laugh. Your fake laugh is so bad. See? Right away.
Yeah. Instant laugh. Yeah.
Well, I want to say welcome to episode 281 of the Rubber Animation Podcast, and we're calling this one Pinocchio Oh No!
I turned to a hound dog at the end of that.
Oh.
We didn't make any When You Wish Upon a Star kind of thing, you know?
When you wish upon a star, NFT's not very far. Phishing scam has stole your
dream
of
making a series on a...
Oh, you ruined it.
I'm Don Bluth.
I'm Harry Partridge.
Hi, I'm Tom Moore, teenage superhero.
My name's Adam Phillips.
This is Robert Valley.
And I'm in no way doing a forced plug. No, sorry. I won't say that.
Definitely go for that.
And you're listening to...
That was in your old place where we were very close and personal. Like our knees.
Well, there was the live action, or not the live action.
Our live action episodes.
the live stream ones where we were super, super close.
Yeah.
Actually, it would be interesting to do it here. Obviously, I've moved, so I'm in a new place, have a lot more space, less interesting backdrop, at least where we're sitting right now. I mean, it's just a kind of a white backdrop.
You can get a projector and put some images there.
That's actually not a bad idea.
Like a slideshow. Next topic.
Sure.
And you press the button.
Oh, like a real slideshow, like one of those. Yeah, don't do that. I think I mentioned this was misophonia or whatever. That's people.
Melanisophonia.
Have a what? Say that word again.
Melanisophonia. I don't know.
Is it from the commercials?
Yeah, it's like one of those commercials where the guy is just like holding his lower back, and he's like, "Do you have melanophthalmia?" Or
mesothelioma?
oh, there we go. Yeah. It's like call the law office of Larry and David.
What? Larry and David.
Did you get melanophthalmia from a house full of lead?
Larry Dale and wait, where is it?
The law office of Larry and David.
Why can't I think of the guys from Bob Newhart? It was Larry something and why can't I think of the names? You know what I'm talking about?
Bob Newhart.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know the names.
Larry.
I know Bob.
Larry, Daryl, and Dale. Is that right?
Sure.
I'm Larry. This is my brother Daryl. That's my other brother Daryl.
Well, I think that this is... Here's the thing. We've also just been hanging out for the last couple hours, so this gives you a pretty good idea about what the last couple hours have been like. Let's do a quick "How you doing?"
Sure.
Segment, and I think we should start with an update on one of our previous episodes that we just uploaded, which was talking about Netflix. Not the original Netflix problem. This one, Netflix and Kill, was the name of the episode that we uploaded. Yeah. And I had kind of listed off all of these shows. And one of them was Inside Job and how it looks really well put together. The animation looks good. The trailer looked good. And the poster looked good. But for some reason, I didn't watch it because it just seemed actually too put together in a weird way that didn't really make me interested to check it out. I've since come up with like a lot of different theories and hypotheses about how that same thing happens to my brain. Like you have a shirt on that's like a play on Target. I have a shirt on that's a play on the Incredible Hulk / Real Monsters. Or sorry, Real Monsters.
Yeah.
But just seeing like a regular shirt, like a regular like striped shirt or something with just like one color. I don't know, just like a normal shirt. Mm-hmm. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's fine. But it doesn't really inspire me. I don't really want to wear it because there's nothing special to it. It's what's the point?
You want a conversation piece.
Yeah. If I'm going to get a sandwich, I want it to be either the very best like ham and cheese sandwich that you've ever made, or I want it to be some sort of like special sandwich.
That's why I have a shirt that says, "This is my sandwich eating shirt." And I never wash it. It's just multiple stains from past sandwiches.
It's not a bad idea for a shirt.
It's
like to draw or paint stains and then print that on a shirt. And then on the back.
So when you get real stains on it, it doesn't,
Exactly. It just, actually make a pattern that's kind of like a tie-dye kind of pattern, but it's tie-dye with food color stain. So if you get one real stain on it, it just looks like, it's part of it. It's kind of like this. I have a tortilla blanket here, and it kind of like you get something on it. It's like, it looks the same.
Yeah, you could tell it's a tortilla, but from far away, it kind of looks
looks like it's burnt. Or
yeah, like you fell asleep with a cigarette.
Right, exactly. So, update.
Yeah.
Now, I was talking about Inside Job. You were talking about
Cuphead.
Yes, and that you had watched some of it, but then you stopped. It was that the...
Yeah. I stopped, and it wasn't because it was just like, what is this? It was just like, I'll continue another time.
Yeah. So, I watched a couple episodes of Inside Job. And you?
I watched 2 extra episodes of Cuphead.
But you didn't finish the season?
No.
Okay. I do want to say something about Inside Job. Actually, before I do that, friend of the show, friend of us, James T. Nethery Regions, made a post on Discord. I'm in the process of moving the website over to a new host, so maybe the comments will be a little bit easier to post over there, because right now on my website there's it's a whole thing. Doesn't really matter, but he made some comments on Discord that he worked on. It was a Hoops and Paradise PD, or Paradise PD, and so I mean, hey, this is part of having an animation podcast where we talk about shows. We're going to end up talking about something that you worked on. He was lovely about it. Was not offended. I cannot speak to if he agreed with anything that we said, but he did mention that Hoops was a decent show. Mm-hmm. And that some people were just put off by the main character, but the show like grew and everything. And I feel like I have that whenever I am working on something, is you can see some improvements and you can point to like, oh, this episode and this one. But the point of the episode was, why didn't we watch it? And why didn't we watch it mainly was based on the designs, really.
Yeah.
So Inside Job, looked very well done, and that was one of the reasons I didn't watch it. So I watched it. Ask me if it was well done.
Was it well done?
It was very well done. It was very well animated. The designs were fun, if, again, a bit, not predictable, but they were like, I know that style. But they were still fun. And the gags were fun. The rate of comedy and like legit kind of there was chuckle moments and then laugh out loud moments, and there was some things that kind of take you by surprise, and the voice acting was very good. Everything, and even the story, I think the story was good as well. It was an interesting premise and it was executed well. Even that first episode, I think it danced around some bigger themes in a pretty clever way that never actually made you hate any of the characters. You kind of, all the characters are playing very clear parts, right? But it did it in a way that felt, yeah, this is fun. And I want to see more of these characters. These are all, kind of fun characters. So I watched a couple episodes. I did enjoy both of them. Ask me if I'm going to continue watching it.
Will you continue watching?
No. Now ask me why.
Why?
Okay, there is a show on Netflix that is called Space Force. Now, I saw the first season of Space Force. It is from, I believe, the makers of The Office.
It's the one with Steve Carell.
Steve Carell.
Yeah.
And it's got a lot of, your favorite people in it. John Malkovich is hilarious.
Oh, he's in it?
He's in it. And John Malkovich is very good at comedy. He's extremely good at comedic timing, especially dry deliveries. Because you think of him as like he's the guy who loses his mind, right? Yeah. But he's very good at dry humor.
He's good. Can you imagine being him?
I think there's a movie like that. I have. Malkovich. Yep. I hope someone's actually seen that movie. Otherwise it just sounds like I just went into a fugue state. Just started saying Malkovich. The problem with that show was that when you deal with politics in TV, or when we did deal with politics in TV, anything, like, there were some things that you could do that would be funny. There's some things that you could do, like, this is a very serious thing, but you could have a kind of clever take on it. But right now, what could be called the post and or current Trump era, depending on who you are and how you think, he was pushing for Space Force, and he's making this big deal. Space Force, we're gonna like own the skies, whatever. We're gonna own space. Then you make this show, and they never actually mentioned him like at all. They kind of alluded to kind of an idiot that was the president, like, the things that he would say, and and it was okay. So we've been given this job. That's a thankless job that no one thinks is real, but they have very unrealistic expectations, and so they put kind of like a C team on it, and can they come through? Is whatever. It's a fine premise, but it just felt so weird watching this thing about Space Force, knowing everything behind the push and why there was a push and everything, and the administration that was there, and it felt so strange to make a lighthearted comedy about it. Yeah. At the time. And I think that there have been other political shows in the past that you don't really feel that way about. It's you can make them and you could laugh along with them. I think it's just the polarizing way of the last, few years has just been too much. Inside Job is about the deep state. It's Cognito Inc. Get it? Like incognito is the company, and the company is that it's kind of like the shadow government, right? It does all the things that fakes the moon landing and wipes people's memories when they see aliens, and there's actual lizard people, and the lizard people are politicians, and I think the plot of the first episode is they're making, because the president is hard to predict. And they need a president that's easy to predict, and so they make a robot to replace him.
Yeah.
And so they're going to replace him with a robot. And so there's all these kind of conspiracy theories that are true in this cartoon. That's what makes it a little hard to watch, because we're living in the age of QAnon.
Yeah. And it's weird. It sucks because conspiracy theories used to be a fun thing to talk about and kind of just be like, can you imagine a world where this is, And then because of, QAnon and all that stuff, it just became trust me, I tell you, lost a friend to QAnon.
Right.
And which is just crazy. It's like they got bit by a zombie and it became this weird.
Yeah, it's Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yeah.
Is what
So, I totally get that, of watching something like that and just kind of because then you're saying it's true. And I don't know, for one, I would like to make fun of the idea of everything you say about this thing is actually happening. But they might take it as another thing where it's just oh, see, they know.
Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily have to be that. It's just when you have something like conspiracy theories, and when you have something like QAnon eventually leading to an insurrection at the Capitol. It's not like a cartoon thing anymore. Now it's and it's not a taboo item. It's just something that's it's just hard to watch. It's just not enjoyable to watch, because I see those things and while I know it's formulated in the right way and it is a chuckle kind of thing, it's also not, I feel because it's so the stuff has proved to be so real world dangerous that I think that now you need something not as lighthearted. Now you need something even you need more aggressive comedy in order to do it. But even Veep was very aggressive comedy, and Veep couldn't even really survive once Trump was elected. It was just, it was too much, because then the absurd became real, and then you can't keep up with it. Then
that was the whole deal with South Park, where they couldn't do Trump because it was just so ridiculous that they had to just make one of their characters Trump.
And this is the thing, is that we had talked about why I didn't click on it, because it wasn't, it was well made, but I'm sure that if I watched it, but then I watched it and it was very well made, but then the content wasn't something that so almost the anatomy of a show and what can make a show successful or doom a show, even just the idea of getting a show made, going through, if you're not a previous creator already and have already the goodwill, if you're a brand new creator, you pitch something, you have to go through the pitch process for whoever you're pitching to, if it's a studio, and then a network gets involved, and then you have to please the network, and then you go through the whole pilot thing, and then it might not even get picked up from there, and then finally you get picked up and you have to make the show, and by the time something gets to air, it could be something like this. It could be now. Yeah, I mean, I don't know when this started, but I don't think that they could have predicted that conspiracies wouldn't be a laughing matter anymore. It's more like a, ha, can you believe this? But more almost like a nervous laughter now.
It could have started off like a Weekly World News kind of thing, and then, or when these things started, especially when my friend who got really deep into it started posting stuff. And I would comment and just make fun of the whole idea. And then he's just like, it's not funny, man.
Yeah.
And they took it so serious. And it started off like this, like, oh, it's kind of funny, lizard people and all that. And maybe they weren't expecting it to escalate to the point where just dividing so much.
Yeah, it just turned.
Yeah.
I mean,
but it's during that Trump time, it was hard to it was like with comedy and everything, hard not to be to sell something that was a product of what's going on.
Right.
To like kind of like in the 80s, everything was kind of like nuclear kind of, Ninja Turtles, Toxic Avenger kind of stuff was like, that was the conversation going on.
Right.
So it's same thing with this, like how can we discuss something in this, what's going on now?
Yeah, well, I think it's that's a hard one, because I feel like the Toxic Avenger, is a parody horror thing as a superhero. The Ninja Turtles was just general toxic waste. It was just over, the general stuff of the 80s. But it wasn't like you had 3 Mile Island, but it wasn't as nobody had stormed the Capitol, I guess is my point. It wasn't to that kind of level. So I don't know how you do that exactly. It's kind of after very big things, stuff doesn't happen. I remember there was a trailer, famous Spider-Man trailer before Spider-Man came out, where he like lands on the Twin Towers, and it's in the trailer.
Yeah.
That's nowhere in the movie. They took that out of the movie before it came out in 2002. For obvious reasons. I mean, it came out very soon after, and I feel like it's not about necessarily avoiding. It's just like certain images. I mean, as artists, we know images can be iconographic. They can be something that just by seeing something can make you feel something. It's like smelling something or hearing something. The classic case of composing. A piano in a musical piece is usually going to be accompanied with something about family or homecoming or something like that, because I don't know, I think a lot of composers grew up with pianos in the home or something, so they just think that playing a piano makes you feel like very homey in a Hallmark way. But I think that's why they do it. And drums for war, because little drummer boy, I don't know, beating drums, going to the war drums. So there's certain things that can evoke emotions, and I feel like when you have something like the World Trade Center was a big part of the skyline, something major happens, maybe not putting that in your fun superhero movie makes a bit of sense. Completely avoiding that they ever existed is not the way to go. But I think sometimes people will avoid dealing or talking about something because they're like, it's a little
kind of on the same note, like not to go too far into something else.
Sure.
But Turning Red, there was a reviewer who commented about them not acknowledging a post 9/11 world because it was in the early 2000s, and I think it was like 2001 in that movie or something like that. And people were just like, why would they have to?
Was it 2001? I thought it was the 90s because they had Tamagotchis.
No, I think it was early 2000, and like that was his main complaint. There was like a whole thing on Twitter about it. But yeah, there's some things where you don't really necessarily have to mention it. But I remember even the Simpsons episode where they went to Manhattan, or when they went to New York City, it was like they kind of banned that episode for a while just because of the imagery of the Twin Towers.
Oh yeah, it says 2002. Yeah. In Toronto, I don't know. Not that Canada was excluded from that, but they weren't flying anywhere. They're in middle school. I don't know. It's
Lilo and Stitch. They had a whole
Yep.
a whole scene.
Mm-hmm.
I think that involved the plane
Yep.
crashing. I don't think
it went. I think it like flew through buildings. Like it turned.
Yeah.
And then they changed it to going through like a canyon or something, right? It was,
Yeah.
In between two mountaintops. Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I can't imagine having to like redo that whole.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm kind of relating it back to Inside Job, where I feel like not that you need to avoid the whole deep state thing, but man, it does feel doomed from the start. As I watch that, I just feel like I just don't want to live in this world. And that's where my big point about Bob's Burgers, and we'll have a whole review about the movie, because we did see the movie.
Yeah, we're cooking up something good.
This is not a burger.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about like the ratings of Bob's Burgers and how it's popular, but it's popular. People know it. People are aware of it. Doesn't necessarily mean that it has a lot of viewers on Fox when it comes out every week. But the point is that it is a world that you want to live in. Like you at least want to see more of these characters. A little preview was that when we were in the theater watching Bob's Burgers, people were reacting to basically everything that happened to the characters that were on screen, like good and bad, and they were reacting as though they knew them. And it was like, "Aw," or "Yay," that like, I'm glad that this good thing is happening to this character. Or like, "Aw, this person's
90s
feeling this
sitcom reactions.
I think that's a big part of it. Anyway, so I just want to come back to the Netflix thing, at least on the Inside Job, is that yes, it's very well done, and I liked it, and I thought it was. I thought it was very successful at what it set out to do, and unfortunately, what it set out to do was something that just felt like I could probably watch it perfectly fine if it came out, like, let's say 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But that's where it was. There's my update. All right, go ahead.
I wish I could be as detailed with Cuphead.
There was more for me to talk about than there was for you.
You know they're cups.
Uh-huh.
Their heads are cups.
Uh-huh, yep.
And there's some kind of liquid in there. But when they have their heads up or, where it's tilted, the liquid doesn't fall out.
That's your big right.
And, their heads are cups.
It's like a Master Shake from Argentina.
Yeah. I wish, it was a while ago. I can't remember. But, it's visually fun to look at.
Uh-huh.
So I think it's in that category where I enjoy watching it, and it makes me want to animate. It makes me want to make fun things like that. But yeah, it's pretty much more or less what I've seen already in the other episodes.
Yep.
Where it was just fun to watch, but it's nothing that I can kind of go on about, other than it's just cool to look at.
So you didn't finish it.
No.
Are you gonna try to finish it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just fun to just kind of go back.
You just want to put it on, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, is that how we're doing? Actually, you know what? It's nice doing this in person.
Yeah.
It's nice doing this in person. I'm enjoying this.
Mm-hmm. I feel like you're gonna lead up to something. Like you just slowly.
Animation News of the Week! Oh, we haven't done this in so long. Well, I feel like only a couple episodes ago did we do this, and we say it was the big return of Animation News of the Week, but we shouldn't really call it Animation News of the Week, because obviously weeks and weeks have gone by since the last time we did it, but I don't care. I'm still going to call it Animation News of the Week. It's where we take the news stories from the animation bubble that we're in, and we talk about them with very little information coming in, and we try to digest it and then spit it back out with some semblance of professionalism. So we'll start with the first news story. Do you want to? Here, I put it on a little sticky note. Do you want to intro it right at the top there?
Well, speaking of things comedy that is offensive.
I love speaking
and
of.
What would be considered? What am I looking at here? What am I getting at here?
I don't know.
Well, all right.
I did say. Oh, you know what? I did say triggering comedy. and how there is a difference between going forward, going toward offensive things, and being.
When I make my comedy album, it's going to be called Punching Sides.
Sure.
Because I'm going to have your side splitting.
Oh, I get it.
From comedy.
So what's the story?
So, we have F is for Family.
Yeah.
And I feel like I remember watching that and saying like, oh, it kind of reminds me of a certain thing. The character reminds me of Al Bundy. Remember Al Bundy?
Yes.
So imagine a animated series with the Bundys.
Yeah, I'm imagining. I'm living in that world right now.
Well, guess what?
What?
It's gonna be a reality.
What? A reality show?
Yep. Your favorite shoe salesman.
It's not a reality show.
Oh no! It's a reality that it will be animated.
Okay.
And your favorite shoe salesman is gonna have an animated series.
Amazing. Is it amazing? Are you excited about it? Can I just give a little bit of that?
I'm curious. More
that
curious.
Very long setup there. Usually you just go like, speaking of, and then you say something and then say, Married with Children is going to become an animated series. A couple details. It's Sony Pictures Television, which produced the original series. It was on Fox, but it's not guaranteed that it is going to be on Fox. Family Guy writer and executive producer Alex Carter is set to serve as the showrunner on the project.
Yeah, I think I'm more curious about it. I was a fan back in the day when it was on, but before we started recording, I was wondering like, how is this going to hold up in today's world?
Right.
There's a lot of stuff in there. Al Bundy commenting on women's weight.
Oh yeah.
And Kelly being slut shamed.
Guys, have you ever seen anything from the 90s? You can't get away from it at all. Watch anything from the 90s. Nothing is...
Al Bundy wearing the No Ma'am shirts. With that whole club is the Proud Boys.
Right,
Al Bundy's No Ma'am Club. So like... But they, in their way,
that Bud is an incel.
Yeah. Oh my God! If they went that direction, are they going to go with like?
See, I guess you could do Brady Bunch, right? You could do something where it's like, it's how are the Bundys are in late '80s, early '90s attitude.
Yeah.
In 2023 or whatever.
Yeah.
Because it came out in say 1993 to 2023. 30 years ago. What the popular accepted attitude was for a family like that on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is weird because there were a lot of moments in Married with Children, believe it or not, that was heartwarming. But
yes.
I guess Al Bundy had to be that person, so when he gets punished, it's funny,
right,
for us,
right. There was a lot of, there is a lot of comedy where wouldn't it be funny if, and then whatever. Wouldn't it be funny if I actually thought this way? Wouldn't it be funny if this was, and it's, I think there are sometimes, portions of comedy where they put a bunch of characters together where they're like, these are the conversations that people are having. Someone thinks this horrible thing. Someone goes too far into woke culture on this side. That's all TV is now. It's like there's this side over here and this side over here, and then you put them together. And I think that everyone now is looking for that perfect Leslie Knope, Ron Swanson friendship. Everyone's looking for that super liberal, and I know they say he's not conservative, he's libertarian, but I mean he gets onto that side of things. I think that the fact that he's not religious, it doesn't necessarily mean that he's not conservative, because he's trying to preserve like the old ways of things. He doesn't like new stuff, whatever.
Yeah, like Hank Hill. Like what is his political views?
Right.
I would hope that they kind of do something with that, where it's just not like, oh, we're cartoons, so we could get away with things and more. You know, like.
Yeah, I think I would actually rather see. I think I would actually, if they had them all back, because they're okay. That's the other thing. I can't believe we glossed over this. All the main cast actors are back.
Yeah.
They obviously can't get Marcy D'Arcy because unfortunately she passed away.
I didn't know that.
Oh, you didn't know that? Yeah, it was a few years ago, or maybe more than that. But yeah, no, she passed away.
Oh
wow. Yeah, she was pretty young. I mean, I think I don't remember at the time, 60 something or whatever. I can't remember. But the Bundys, all the Bundys are back. The main cast: Ed O'Neill, Katie Seagal, Christina Applegate, and David Faustino.
Yeah, who's very excited about this, I'm sure.
Yeah, of course.
Christina Applegate, she's been doing her thing.
She has one of the best guest spots on Friends as Rachel's sister, one of Rachel's sisters.
Oh,
it's one of my
I
favorites.
thought it was Reese Witherspoon.
She's another of Rachel's sisters.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, you should check it out. It's great. It's one of my favorite episodes. Anyway, it says this is from the Hollywood Reporter. The animated project isn't the first time Sony has tried to revive the show. In 2014, Sony developed a spin-off centering on Faustino's Bud Bundy, but it didn't move forward. I remember.
I don't remember that.
I remember reading that.
Joey.
I remember reading that and thinking nobody's going to watch this, and it didn't even, it didn't finish.
I would have called it Bud and Buds.
Where he's just smoking? Was that?
Oh, I just thought he was with his pals. Bud and Buds.
Oh, Bud Buddies.
Bud Buddies. Yes. I remember. Oh, speaking of Joey, they were characters in Married with Children that had a spinoff that didn't work as well. Joey from Friends. I remember he was like, I guess he was seeing Kelly. I don't know. That's going off in the whole thing, but yeah. Bud Buddies.
It's funny. It's funny. Married with Children premiered in 1987. Do you know what also premiered in 1987? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the animated series.
Oh,
there's an animation connection there. I don't know. That's all I got.
I'd like to see those worlds collide.
11 seasons. It's a long sitcom.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I mean, that's pretty much all I got to say about that. I don't know if you have anything else. I think that there's something there that you could do if you did it the right way. But comedy has always been a bit of a minefield. That's not a new thing. The thing is now, what I feel like people are coming around to is understanding that really good comedy, especially for most people, I think, for like people that have a bit of empathy, is comedy that can stimulate, that can make you think about things, that can make you laugh, but also that somehow that makes you feel good, I guess, about listening to it. That it's like, I feel like there are some times where there are comedians that are still under the impression that people just want to be shocked to laugh, almost like, jump scare kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I feel like people are so past that, because comedy isn't a new thing, and it's not an oversaturated thing exactly. I mean, it is, but it's something where now you do have to search it out. You have to, and it's very easy to just avoid it, to just, I guess I'm not going to watch that. There's a new Netflix special. All right. Sometimes you hear what's on the Netflix special before you even click on it, I think that a lot of people just, they want to feel good about it. You laugh at something and you want to feel like, positive after you finish watching it. Laughter is generally a positive expression. It's not really an emotion. It's just a thing that like, but when you laugh at something, or if someone's trying to get you to laugh at something that you feel very bad about, you feel very uncomfortable about, or that you feel like sad for the people that they're joking about, it doesn't matter how well formulated the joke is, or well formulated, well structured your comedy is. It's not going to make someone feel good about it, and then they kind of don't. They kind of don't want to do it. You can't eat when you're sick, and you can't laugh when you're feeling bad about whoever the person is.
Yeah. And it's just also where, like, I don't necessarily have a problem with, like, punching down humor, but I think a lot of people who are, I know comedy, trust me.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. And then they kind of just, like, they take, like, a very thin layer of what that joke was, and they kind of, carry that. And then, I should do stand-up. And then they go in there and just be like, AIDS or something. And then everyone's just like, all right, it's like not understanding something and kind of like thinking what it is. And there's just a lot of times where you see something that's just awful and just like completely racist, and the people are just like saying, it's dark humor, bro. You just don't get it. Like, oh, you don't know what it is either.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not experts on comedy, but we do watch a lot of comedy. So I feel like we're a pretty good barometer, I guess, and we're also not young. So
listen, speak for yourself, Gramps.
We're not like, if we remember the comedy of the 90s.
Yeah.
And like there's a lot of things that are given passes because you're just overwhelmed by whatever's around you. But now it's just, I don't know. I do feel like the internet has changed a lot of stuff. Now it's you're expected to be a bit more, you're expected to know a little bit more, to have like done your research on some stuff, or to be at least a little empathetic of someone's situation. I feel like I just saw something recently. Someone made a post, and there was this there was this girl that was having a meltdown on a plane, and the caption was like, her grandma took away her cell phone or something like that. And I saw that, and I felt like that was, I feel like this is a situation which is probably more than just a kid who just really wants her cell phone.
Yeah.
But I don't know. You can't say of any medical issues or any behavioral issues or anything like that just from a video. But the point is that it was used for a whole bunch of things. Some people posted and be like, isn't this awful that people are being shamed because, she might be on the spectrum or something. And then other people were like, isn't it crazy that, a kid has a tantrum and all of a sudden, it must be on the spectrum. Everyone was like jumping at it, and also completely not acknowledging the fact that this kid might be like 9 or something. Like it says like this is a child who, yes, has a very public very public incident, but now that very public incident on a plane of, I don't know, a couple hundred people now is a volleying of opinions back and forth for like 1 million people.
Oh yeah.
And it's that kind of thing. And it does come back to the inside job thing. There's just sometimes you just can't get past certain stuff, and it just kind of makes you feel bad, and it makes you feel, so I think that Married with Children, product of its time, whatever, you could probably watch some of those things.
Yeah,
and then now I think that showing that and showing how like, Brady Bunch it.
It's weird, yeah, because we did have our shows where they're like the 90s episode of trying to be what's the word I'm looking for, progressive,
right? Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like they had the gay episode.
I mean, famously Seinfeld with not that there's anything wrong with that.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah.
know, that's a famous episode.
Yeah.
There's also like movies and things where
Saved by the Bell was the worst. Zach had a girlfriend, a girl in a wheelchair that he was embarrassed to be with, and then at the end he dances with her. Never see her again.
yeah.
It's like, what happened? I thought, oh, it was just that episode.
Oh no, she was just the prop for that
Yeah.
episode. I mean, 90s progressivism is interesting to watch now, but it's the whole point of progressivism is that the idea is that if you consider whatever they're doing for the time,
Yeah.
then sure, you can see how, oh, I see that was like, this is, pushing something forward. At least, someone's talking about it or getting whatever. It's a very popular show, even if they didn't really put their foot down very firmly in one place. It wasn't, but then you go to the 2000s, then you go to 2010s, and now, progressivism, it's always a progress, right? So
Yeah.
you're never going to be.
I think what early 2000s was like the progressive episodes in the 90s became kind of the corny
The corny.
thing.
Yeah,
So
sure. A bit of a wave,
2000s
yeah.
were making fun of that.
Yeah.
And then just kind of just became we're being horrible because it makes everyone uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And go, oh my God, you're making fun of things,
So where do you
Right.
think we are now in the wave then? Because you got 90s, there was some, I guess it would be like late 80s, early 90s. I guess it would be movies. I think TV, it didn't really get that way until maybe mid 90s. I don't know.
Yeah.
This is totally in my brain. But
I think now it's
then down in the early 2000s, then up in the 2010s,
yeah.
down at the end of the 2010s. I don't know. I'm trying to think like, I mean, you got to imagine like,
I think what it is
the Trump
now,
administration did a whole.
Oh, yeah.
like the
Trump
fact that,
was like the boss level
right.
of everything awful in the early 2000s.
The boss level.
And like when Trump, I always say it's like the Limp Bizkit Nookie video. You see all the dudes with the red caps walking down the street angry at their girlfriends. I was like, oh, it was like they all kind of rise from hell or something. I think now what's weird is like, so The Simpsons would mention, which I don't think they would handle this now. Oh, what if Homer was extremely homophobic?
Right.
Now
Was that the work hard, play
Homer?
hard at the
Yeah,
where they went
we work
camping?
hard,
Yeah.
we play hard, and like now, I don't think you would even do that. Like, you can't make Homer,
Right.
the character we all love, scared of Bart turning gay.
Right. Because it would make the audience
Yeah,
hate him.
they were just like, "What? Oh no!" So it's just like, I do kind of wish that, but I don't know. But the thing with '90s characters was just like they made such a big deal out of it to like make that turning point where
Right.
it's just like, what? Oh my! I don't know. But now it's just like, oh, we're all on the same page,
Yeah.
But it's weird. I think you want to address it, but you want to address it in a way where I think I don't know. You kind of want to have it already just be a thing now, where no one's kind of like judging and all that. Just have the gay character and not have it be an episode of the.
That sounds right. That's about where we are. Is just anyway. I don't know. I think the way that they bring back Married with Children in animated form, it's going to be interesting to see which tactic they take from, because they could take the tactic from the late 2000s, and that would be kind of embarrassing, like you just said. Or they could update it for now. I think, I don't know. Then you're kind of getting into like a, I don't know, family out of time. Then how do you like the family? They can't, you're right. They can't embody all of the things that we found that we look back at our past in the 80s and 90s and we're repulsed. And you can't take those repulsive parts and have them embodied in our main characters. But to look back and take only the good parts and not acknowledge the repulsive parts for the only characters that are representing, the late 80s, early 90s would be disingenuous, because then it would be like, no, the Bundys would be awful. Unless what you're trying to say is like, then I don't know, get back to that I'm not awful to one group. I'm awful to everyone.
Yeah.
Then it's such a cop-out. I feel like that's a thing that caught on and people said just so that they could be offensive to one.
Well, it's like when people say, "Oh, well, I'm a Virgo, so that's just how we are."
Do people say
people
that?
use their signs.
Sure. Any excuse.
Yeah.
To be awful.
I'm a Gemini. What do you expect? When I take the money and I leave you trapped in the thing at the end of.
Speaking of taking money and trapping things, Seth Green was part of a phishing scam spelled PH, and got his NFT. 4 NFTs taken away from him. That's not the big thing. It's not that. It's the fact that he was creating a hybrid animated live action TV show based on at least one of these NFTs that he had.
Yeah.
And it was going to premiere relatively soon. He just did a whole, there was like a preview, there was a trailer, whatever, that they had cut and they had showed at some NFT cryptocurrency conference or something like that, which I didn't know was a thing. And there's no way I would ever want to go to that.
Oh God! I think I'd rather go to a gathering of juggalos.
No. See, now we're back to red hats. It was called White Horse Tavern.
Yeah,
and he had one of those. Was it Bored Ape?
Bored Ape.
Bored Ape. I don't know. I honestly, I had no idea what it was. All of a sudden, I started seeing them everywhere, and it's like people buying all these NFTs and Bored Ape. I didn't know anything about it, and then I started reading about it. And I go, I think I'm going to stop reading about this. I was simultaneously fascinated and bummed out. I get the idea. I do. And we're not going to talk all about NFTs. I do want to know. I want to get your thoughts on what an NFT is before we go too far. But
yeah.
I don't want to talk too much about it because I feel like it's almost like purposefully complicated. But anyway, he gets it taken away. He was making the show. But here's the thing. Owning the NFT, owning the design of this thing, meant that you could trace it and everything. He was part of a phishing scam, which is not the same as someone hacking into his stuff. I think it's like he plugged in his information. He gave up his information somehow. I don't exactly know how it worked. I don't know the ins and outs of it. I think even the phishing scam thing, I really think just came from a tweet. But somehow someone took it and then sold it on another marketplace, and someone else bought that. Now, the complicated thing about NFTs, as I understand it, is that one of the benefits is that there is no centralized agency to regulate it, to look over it. So there's no centralized agency to create inflation or anything like that. It's just going to print more money, whatever. It's self-regulating is what it's. I think what it's supposed to be. Again, I know very little about this, and I read a lot about it. It's still one of those things where, depending on what you read, because it's also tied in with cryptocurrency. So, it's a huge topic. As I understand it, this is going to be difficult for him to try to get ownership back or to conclusively prove ownership because he doesn't have it and there's no regulatory agency that is going to prove that it's not owned by this other person as opposed to him, and it wasn't transferred through like legal means.
Yeah.
It's a big gray area. So right now, basically it's kind of like he bought, I guess, kind of like the copyrighted design of this character, like that he bought the character, and he made this show based around this character, and someone took it and now owns the rights to it, or may own the rights to it, and so they cannot continue with the project, because if they are found to not have the rights for it, they could be in very big legal problems. I think
apparently the only way he can get it back is through like the real Johnny Quest thing, where he has to go into the internet.
The Quest. What did we literally just brought this up on? I don't know. It's like a couple episodes ago. Quest. Why can't I never remember the name?
Questworld.
Questworld. That's it. Questworld. Yeah. See, I was the one who remembered Questworld last time, and you didn't.
There was a tribe called Quest.
I love that. We were just anything with Quest. What was? Oh yes. Aside from that joke, apparently. Yeah, there's from what I've been reading so far, there's not really anything he can do right now other than he's got, lawyers and stuff, but he's basically just like desperately messaging this one guy and be like, "Hey, dude, give it back to me." And I think he's probably going to do some sort of like under the table thing to try to get it back, but
what a weird
It is a weird
story.
thing, but I think it's also kind of fascinating. I think once it all comes out, it would make for a very, very interesting, like, very well-made YouTube documentary. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think the point was it was supposed to be almost like a proof of the benefit and the long-lasting benefit of NFTs. I think he has been. He's like a true believer on NFTs, and so he was making this thing as like, see what you can do with NFTs. You can buy them and then, make this thing. And it just kind of looked like a live action version of BoJack, I guess. Whereas, you know what I mean? Where
it's an interesting concept, like having a show where animated characters and real people, because you only see that in like movie form or something,
Yeah, I was thinking like, you could do like NFTV where it just, where you have like, you have kind of an anthology episodes where people like studios acquire NFTs and then they make shows based around them, kind of thing. You could do something like that. I think that'd be kind of fun. My pitch was if you they buy basically a black box NFT, like something that they don't really know what it is until they get it. They kind of, you could produce it anyway. You can have people select, 10 good ones and then they, buy, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Where the creator basically buys them. And then half of the episode is basically a making of. And then the other half of the episode is an 11-minute animated short with this NFT. NFTV. Boom. There's your pitch. And if it is regulated by a studio, nobody is accidentally using their own login information to like log in someplace and give away their NFTs and everything's all set. I think there's some cool stuff that you could do with it. But it's a strange thing. I think that now it's almost like this show has now become a cautionary tale of NFTs.
Yeah.
It's just weird.
It is kind of sad because you see the whole thing was pretty much done and they got all these actors involved. And this whole thing was already set to go. And I mean, I would like to see maybe not a movie exactly about this, Seth Green himself, but like, explained in the movie would help because it just seems like such a weird. No, like make a movie based on something like this. I think I just need to process this kind of whole situation visually, because when I hear it, it's just Seth Green has a digital monkey that was stolen, and he needs to get it back.
Sorry, it is Bored Ape number 8398 is what it was. Named Fred. I feel like there are some names that I feel like we should just retire from. Fred is probably one of them. Maybe a 10-year moratorium on the name Fred.
Yeah.
They're just
very classic.
It is.
Kind of
Fred as a main character just sounds like you couldn't think of anything else.
Yeah, I mean Fred Flintstone kind of just capitalized on that. You can't have another Fred character.
Yeah, but Fred Flintstone's fun because I was just gonna say because of the alliteration, but Fred Flintstone's fun is an alliteration of it. Yeah. So there was a tweet. He sent out the tweet of the trailer, and then in an interview on May 21st, he said, "I've spent the last several months developing and exploiting the IP to make it into the star of the show. Then days before, his name is Fred, by the way, days before he's set to make the world debut, he's literally kidnapped." That's what he said. Well, he's digitally kidnapped anyway. Yeah, so BuzzFeed talked to an IP attorney about the situation and said that the current owner and holder of the ape known as Fred could cause a lot of trouble for the actor because they now own the commercial usage rights for the artwork attached to the NFT. So it's going to take a lot to, figure out how to come back. And, it's the current owner's name is Darkwing84.
Oh, boy.
Which
it's such an evil villain nerd guy.
So the funny thing is
he a bad person though for doing
no, I don't. It's unclear whether he knew that it was stolen when he bought it. He's just bought it, right? So now he's like in this whole thing, but he could just go, "I'm just going to give this back," or he just lucked himself into an exploitative opportunity. You want this back? You got to pay me for it. Would you blame him for doing that? Now, It is a bit of blackmail that's going on. But if it is determined that he got this legally and did not know that it was stolen once he got it, and someone's coming and saying, "I want this from you," well, I don't know if I legally own this or not, but I don't know. I don't owe you anything.
It's kind of like having a domain name for a website.
It is, in a way that, like, if someone buys, like, Walmart.co or something like that Walmart wants to buy, well, you did that on purpose. But if like Bowen Yang, his Instagram handle is Faye Dunaway. Oh, really? And I read something that was like Faye Dunaway wants to talk to him or something like that. And I don't know if that's a joke, but I have seen I've seen that on my feed before, and I have had to stop and be like, "That's Faye." Oh, it's Bowen Yang, because it's just her name.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm only asking a hypothetical. I'm not offering any answers. I'm just saying a hypothetical. Would you blame him? Would you think that he's the bad guy here to take that opportunity?
I want to say no, but I know me personally, I feel like...
Well, me personally,
I would be... I don't know. Like if I found a wallet with money in it and all that stuff, I would go to that person, give them... Doesn't matter what's in it.
Different situation. You find a wallet with money in it, you know that belonged to someone.
Yeah.
This situation, when he bought it, he bought it fair and square. And there is no... there's no like regulatory body or whatever. The only thing that he knows that he bought it is like, tweets and things like that. And I'm sure that they could provide information about how he had bought the NFT originally, and that it was taken from him. Like, I'm sure that they could provide a whole bunch of stuff. But Seth Green wants it figured out really quick. And so he's probably going to want to... It's almost like settling out of court.
Well, I guess if he was offering the same price or a little more, I'd just take it. I wouldn't I wouldn't dangle it over his head like, do you really want this? I'd feel kind of uncomfortable,
It is a sleazy thing to do.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
That's true. I'm not taking a side on my own hypothetical that I just made up on the spot. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just saying
I would
because it's
I would take up the first offer he says. But it'll be kind of rough if he gives me either the same price or lower.
Well, I feel like at that point, I mean, not that I haven't talked to him, but I have met Seth Green. He's very nice. He was, it was at a Family Guy, like live Family Guy thing. He was the last one on stage. He was signing autographs and things. He sat down at the edge of the stage. He was like answering questions. And he was on one side, and then he actually walked over to the other side to sign even more autographs instead of like what most people do is like wherever I'm in my area, I'll do whatever. But there was a bunch of people who were off, and he saw that they were waiting there, and he like went over. He seems like a really nice guy who also is aware of a lot of things, of people's like interest. He seems genuinely interested in things. He seems genuinely interested in NFTs. A lot of smart people are into stupid things, but sorry, it's like a low hanging fruit. I had to do. What it sounds like is he logged into a fake site. So he gave a fake site his login information. So basically it's like being conned out of something. I'm sure that he'll have success, and I'm sure that he'll win. He's rich, he's famous, it'll work. But the other thing that I wanted to point out here is in this article, it says the NFT marketplace OpenSea, SEA, has flagged the NFTs with suspicious activity warnings, which is odd considering the whole idea behind NFTs was to not rely on centralized groups or organizations to control the economy. But rich people don't like getting scammed, and NFT companies need to keep these whales happy if the scam is to survive another month or two. So obviously this article is not on board with NFTs either. But I've been throwing all these hypotheticals and things, and the truth is I don't really care. And not to say that I don't care because I think it's not. There's a lot of people's jobs at risk that's there, and if they really wanted to make it work, they could redesign their main character, which would take a lot. It would take another few months, and they would have to like go through a whole thing. Or he could buy another Bored Ape. There's I think there's a lot of them. I don't
buy
know.
Jimmy Fallon's.
Sure. Yeah. You could get a co-investor to come in, right?
I got this one because he has a hat like I wear this hat.
Yes, you could get someone to come in as a co-investor who has the NFT.
Yeah.
To come in and be like, he gets a co-EP credit. Actually, Jimmy Fallon would demand EP credit, but he gets some sort of producer credit to his name by offering up the NFT, and then boom, all you have to do is like. That's the whole thing behind these guys, I think, is you just like change a couple things and it's the same. It's the same ape. It's just the couple things are different. You could do that. I don't know why it needs to be this particular, and I don't know how much it was, but I don't know. It's there are avenues to success there. I think that the actual story of the NFT being stolen and then or taken through a phishing scam, I should say. I mean, I guess that's stolen. I don't really know how that all works out, but
I brought a star for someone and it was stolen. Someone slapped their name on that star. That didn't really happen, but I feel like it's the same thing.
I was trying to understand.
I remember hearing that.
Oh, you mean a star like in the
you could register your
I
name, and I just felt like what a waste of money.
Yeah.
And then like it became NFTs later on.
Yep. Oh yeah, get a portion of the moon.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get a portion of the moon. That's all.
But
that's all yours.
Does that mean if the world comes to an end, which is very likely, can you move to that part of the moon?
No.
Like, I invested in this years ago.
I don't think so.
So someone else is gonna be living on your name, on your moon name. That's your moon property.
That's my moon name. Get off my moon name. Hey, you get off of my moon.
Ooh, I'm going to make an NFT called Moonkey. And they're monkeys that live on the moon.
Sure. Moon face monkey.
This whole time, though, I was thinking, I was going to say Seth Rogen. Seth Green has is it his production company, Stupid Monkey?
It is. I think that's why I bought it.
Oh.
Even though apes are not monkeys, but you get my point.
Yeah.
Yeah, so. Yeah.
Well, the whole thing's bananas.
B?
A.
You go A and then you just you just
It's hard to not.
someone else is living on my joke.
I stole your joke.
Speaking of stealing things, Disney has stolen from its its catalog of animated movies to again make a live action remake. And this one is Rob. What's this one?
Pinocchio.
Pinocchio. We should call it trailer talk, but we're actually probably not going to talk that much about the trailer, just about the idea. I mean, we could say about the trailer. It looked fine.
A lot of people aren't happy with Jiminy Cricket.
Oh, why is that?
They say he looks terrifying.
Wait,
it's weird.
Terrifying?
Yeah. Well, his eyes are just black, and it's weird because they're doing
He's
about
a cricket.
I thought they were gonna do more of like a realistic cricket with this, maybe, and but they have. He's wearing clothes, and it is a weird design. He looked like he should kind of be in a Tool video, maybe, or something like that. But
No, we'll talk about another one in a bit, which I hold on to that thought, because I'm going to show you one a little bit later that I think is exactly what you're talking about. But yeah, no, I mean, like I'm looking at him right now. Okay, hold on. This is Jiminy Cricket.
Yeah,
from the original. Actually, that one is not from the movie. That one is from I'm no fool, no siree. I'm gonna live to be 103. Dun, 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 'cause I'm no fool. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I'm no fool, no siree. I want to live to be 103. I play safe for you and me, 'cause I'm no fool.
Then he dies instantly.
Yeah. It's not the greatest, but it looks a lot like a Bug's Life kind of Hopper kind of look. You know what I mean? It more cartoony. He's not I mean, I guess he's a real cricket, but he's like a magical cricket.
I mean, yeah, we should be happy we have this at least, you know?
He's the voice of conscience. And also, yes, he has black eyes, but they're not pure black. I mean, you can see white on the outside. It's like he has pupils.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
It's a lot like his character.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
That's a
I
way
feel
we
like
can get the old kind of Jimmy Cricket, but
Yeah.
I think they were trying to find a good middle ground, because as far as I know,
yes, right. No, you're right.
Pinocchio is pretty much going to be the cartoon version of Pinocchio in 3D.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Which, I mean, it does make sense. I mean, you can see him right there in that trailer image.
Yeah.
It makes sense. I mean, it's a great design, holds up in 3D.
And to have Mark Twain be Geppetto.
Sure.
I didn't even know he was still alive.
I mean, I feel like when it said with Tom Hanks, listen, I love Tom Hanks. I really do.
Oh, who doesn't?
But I don't know. I guess it makes sense. You know, he's kind of this like sweet grandpa man who he never had kids, and he made a little boy, and he's, it's a real boy. I don't know. It's just a sweet old man. I don't know. There's something about his. You know what it looks like? It looks like he's on a stage play as Mark Twain. You're right. You're right.
Or Albert Einstein.
Yeah. I don't know. It looked strange. Jiminy Cricket is voiced by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who, you know what? If they just made him smaller, I would be fine.
Yeah, just put his head.
I'd be fine with Joseph
Paint him
Gordon.
green.
I'd be fine with Joseph Gordon-Levitt just walking out, just looking exactly like that. Just the tiny little Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and his name is Jiminy Cricket. It's like, why is it called Cricket? Oh, because I'm small. I don't know. You know. I just this kid Benjamin Evan Ainsworth, who is the kid I guess from The Haunting of Bly Manor, is the voice of Pinocchio, and Giuseppe Battenston is Stromboli. So I mean, they're still sticking with that name, and I mean,
I feel like I wonder, because I remember watching Pinocchio and. When are they going to show children smoking cigars and drinking beer?
No, because this is a Disney production in 2022. But I'm sure that they're going to have some stuff that is going to, like the transformation in the silhouette, transformation into donkeys, better known as when kids smoke and drink, they turn into jackasses. It's not the subtlest of things, but. No, I think they'll probably do stuff like that.
The worst thing they're gonna do is like steal NFTs or something.
I have stayed away from looking at much online. I am. Every time something like this comes up, right? Blue Fairy comes in, played by a black woman. I'm always afraid. I'm like, oh God, please, internet, let it go. Don't just. Has anyone said anything about it or no?
I have. I was scrolling through Twitter. I seen the two comparisons but I didn't even read it. It's gonna be the same old story.
Yeah.
Oh, they tried so hard to be woke.
Ugh.
A Black Al Bundy?
You know what? Do you remember we were talking about the 2000s, like the mid 2000s, early 2000s, like the black remakes of things?
The Honeymooners.
If they did that with Married with Children, I feel like that'd be the way to go. Bring it back. That'd be the way to go.
Ooh, who would be Al Bundy?
I don't know. I mean. It's really hard to pass over Cedric the Entertainer for anything, but
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe I feel like it's got to be one of the Kings, right?
The Kings of Comedy.
Yeah, Steve Harvey does kind of feel like a
Steve Harvey.
He does kind of feel like an Al Bundy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. You see him sitting on the couch with his hands down his pants, just
I still want him to be Mr. Potato Head or something.
It's just because he's bald and has a mustache?
Yes. It would just be him with his head to a table and like shoes on the bottom of his chin and like two hands glued to his cheeks.
Mm-hmm. Wait, hold on. Are you saying you want a live action?
Yeah.
You want
He's always on a table too.
It's all green screen. The table it's a green table.
Yeah.
His head is through the table, right? so you can cut out of his head.
Yeah.
And then you can animate him going around.
Oh God. When they do a live action Toy Story, which will happen.
Yeah. Sure.
If you think about it, Pinocchio is a live action Toy Story.
I don't know. Here's the thing. Are they going to have the fish? That sweet little fish.
Yeah. Or the whale, the giant whale.
Monstro? I mean, they're gonna have the whale. Yeah. They're gonna have the Monstro. I don't know, man. I do want to say I have not that I don't plug my book all that much, especially not anymore. But
buy my book.
Buy my book.
Buy my book. Buy my book. Buy my book.
But True Digital Animate CC, 12 Principles of Animation, Adobe Animate. I have a section toward the end of the book when you get into more of the kind of abstract concepts. I have one that's on Pinocchio, and there are some things that Pinocchio. First of all, the the dance, the Got No Strings dance it's still one of my favorite. It's the comedic timing between "Got no strings to hold me," and then he just falls down.
Yeah,
that is still. I laugh every single time because even though I know it's coming, the voice doesn't anticipate it at all. There is no anticipation to that trip whatsoever. I got no strings to hold me. Yeah. And he just falls down exactly the way that you would. And when he's kind of like, he gets up and he's kind of learning to dance and people are having a good time with it. His legs have a hinge. And I think I've talked about this before, but his legs have a hinge where it's basically like kind of there's two sides and then it's a female male connector basically, but that's what they're called, but it's two sides and one little piece that goes in the middle of it and a dowel that goes through the center of it. And the reason I'm even demonstrating this to you is because if you were to pick that foot up or the hand up, it can't go farther than the thigh, right? Yeah. It's not attached on the outside like those paper things that you made as a kid. You know, you make the little paper cutouts and then you put the little fasteners through, the little circles, and you go through.
Oh yeah.
You could make the foot go around and around and around. It's not like that. But when he dances, he kicks his leg out and his leg does a full 360.
Yeah.
It's impossible. It's not possible with his with the foot the way that it is. But the way that it's done, he kicks his foot out to the side so that you could believe for that 1 second that it was an outside hinge. So it just could go around in a 360. And then when it comes back again, it looks more like, you know, what I described before, that knee hinge. In 3D, you can't do stuff like that. You can't animate in that way because you're restricted to whatever the model is unless you completely break it. But since it's a live action CG hybrid, it's harder to break it. With something like Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, you could do something like that. So it's gonna be interesting to see what they do. I really hope
you might have ball and socket kind of.
Yes, exactly.
Like that.
You know, the we talked about the live action hybrid Beauty and the Beast and how disappointing it was to see the ballroom scene and it was done the exact same way. And it's like, well, that's not impressive anymore.
Yeah.
So the reason it was impressive was because of how difficult it was to do a CG background, panning down, changing perspective, always moving, and them doing a waltz. And then the future cyborg animator James Baxter came back in time to animate that by himself, which is amazing. We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
But that's what made that amazing. There is a sequence in Pinocchio where he's been kidnapped. Spoilers. He's in the chariot or the whatever you want to call it. He's in a bird cage, and he's in the bird cage. The bird cage is swaying back and forth, and there's also a bird cage perch inside of it, which is swinging on its own.
Yeah.
So it's swinging back and forth. It's kind of rotating a bit, and then there's another pendulum. There's a sub pendulum in it, right? That's kind of swinging back and forth, and it's so complicated to animate something like that by hand because you're not simulating it. You know, they may have filmed it. I don't know if they filmed something like that and then traced it, but you still have to put Pinocchio in there.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think there's just going to be some things that were very impressive for the time that like, it's always that stuff that like push the boundaries and then you watch this and just go, yeah, I know we can make movies like that now. There's nothing impressive about it.
Yeah, like, I think if it was maybe like a special, like this is going to be in theaters, or is it going straight to?
I think this
has
got to be a Disney Plus thing.
Yeah, and it's weird because on one hand, Beauty and the Beast, Beauty and the Beast was the designs, the Beast just look awful and. You know, I think at least they're trying to make it look like the thing, but then what's the point? Well, you know.
Well, that's exactly the thing. Is if you're, I don't know, if you're gonna do something like this, I think the idea of doing fairy tales as animated movies originally was the wow factor. It was they've always been these fantastical, well, fantasy stories, but these fairy tales. There's always been these fantastical elements to them, very visual elements to them. Snow White and Cinderella, the fairy godmothers, the Sleeping Beauty, the dragon, and Pinocchio, obviously Pinocchio and Monstro and all the other characters. There's always obviously Alice in Wonderland, but there's always these visually fantastic elements to it. Not just the characters, but also the things that happen to them. I don't know what wow factor this does other than just telling the story. Mm. That's usually where I come at the why aspect of it. Not that I think that it would be bad or good or whatever. And even Beauty and the Beast, I didn't necessarily have any problem with the movie itself. It was just, again, it kind of felt like why? There's a impressive wow factor that came with the movie. And also by that point we had already seen, you can make, all manner of characters and things. This is during the Renaissance, the new, 80s into 90s Disney Renaissance. We had already seen Disney make all these like amazing movies, but they did the Cave of Wonders and the magic carpet itself was a technological thing of itself, but also flying away from the lava in Aladdin, and then the Lion King, you had the wildebeest stampede, and then and of course, I kind of skipped over things, but you have then Beauty and the Beast with the ballroom scene. Yeah, there's every one of those movies had a scene or a sequence that was just so impressive. Colors of the Wind, I'm blanking now, but I think that it is just going to be one of those.
Mary Poppins, where she's dancing with the
right. So that's during the original run of movies, where you have first were the animated movies, then is the animated live action hybrid, Bedknobs and Broomsticks and Mary Poppins, and I just feel like I don't know what exactly they're going for. What would be the wow factor in this one?
I would think maybe just seeing Pinocchio in a real environment.
But that means you need to know Pinocchio, I guess, is the point.
Well, I would hope that it's not as soulless as which it is. We're going to make more money off of this property, but maybe introducing kids to this, and then they would want to go back and watch, I love this character so much. Let me see how that original one was.
It's basically a new version of taking a movie out of the Disney vault. It's just instead of quote unquote taking it out of the vault and re-releasing it, now they're remaking it into a live action, animation hybrid.
Yeah. It's almost like George Lucas fixing some of the Star Wars.
Kind of, yeah, except it's not changing it. But then I just feel I don't know. I'm very kind of split on it, because I guess if it makes you watch the originals, then okay, I guess it did kind of a nice job there. But one thing that we didn't bring up in our Netflix thing, which we were talking about before we were recording, which was I had a cookout recently. A friend had come over, not an animator, and he was selling Love, Death, and Robots to someone else who's also not an animator, was talking about it, and I overheard the conversation. He's talking about how like, oh no, it's great, you should check it out. And they're like, really? And they looked at me because I'm an animator, and I said, yeah, no, it's great. It's animated shorts. There's something there for everyone. I mean, obviously sometimes it's like, oh, this has to be this has to be for adults. So let's put a swear word in there and make some person naked or whatever, where it doesn't necessarily help the story. But aside from that, it's great. And they're all different types of styles and stuff. And the guy said, yeah, I mean, some of them don't even look animated. They're so real. You know, I don't watch animation. So like there's some that are just like so real. And it's funny because we just watched a couple and you had commented that, yeah, those are the ones that you don't like.
Yeah.
And my point was, not my point, but just extending off of the other conversation that we had, is that there are some people who love animation and want to watch animation based on things that, and we are affected a lot by the designs. Just the same way as I think people who watch, you know, movies, live action movies, are affected by the person who's cast in the movie, you know, or the general look of it, you know. It's got that orange filter on it or whatever, you know, it's not my thing, or it's too dark or whatever.
Yeah.
There are people who do not want to watch an animated movie. And it's not because they don't want to watch kid stuff. It's they just don't like watching animated stuff. They like watching live action stuff. They like watching actors do a thing. But when it's super realistic, for them, it's a wow factor. Yeah. For them, it's a, oh my God, look at what they can do now.
Yeah, it's like when Final Fantasy, the movie, came out.
The Spirits Within?
Yeah, people were talking about how, they're going to replace actors and they're going to be these kind of actors.
And then what actually happened was the studio went bankrupt.
Oh.
Because it did terribly.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a new, exciting thing. And I remember not liking that when I saw it.
Yeah.
Which I wasn't a fan of the game series anyway, but it just had nothing to do with it at all. It's like, where's the guy with the giant sword?
See, I liked that it didn't have anything to do with the games because I didn't know anything about the games at all. It was just a sci-fi movie to me.
Yeah.
So I really liked it because I thought it was like, oh, it's just this sci-fi movie with a bit of spirituality in there.
Yeah.
Very save the earth kind of thing. But I mean, a lot of movies around that time were. It was fine to me. I liked it. I thought it was good. And man, do people rip me apart for that stuff.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not really a sci-fi guy.
A sci-fi guy.
Sci-fi guy to begin with. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Could have been a little more cartoonier. But this is like, I feel like having Pinocchio, if Pinocchio looked like...
You are, by the way, you have slid down in the... now I'm reminded, now again of...
I'm like that, the girl in that PSA where she's done too much weed and she's flat into the couch.
So you were saying about Pinocchio, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Pinocchio, if they made the design where there's been a lot of attempts at this, there was even a Pinocchio horror movie.
Oh yes, I know.
Oh,
Pinocchio's Revenge.
I don't know. I don't think I've seen it, or maybe I've seen it and don't remember. But what if Pinocchio just stood in front of someone and lied, and his nose went right through them?
Guarantee that's in Pinocchio's Revenge. I haven't seen it. We should watch it.
Yeah,
we should watch it. But I guarantee someone's chained up or like tied up against a wall or something like that, and he just gets real close to him, and he just says things, and maybe he says things about like something either that he's going to, maybe something that he did to, maybe he's already killed like a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And this is our final character who's like now been caught. Ooh. And he's like, I did not rip off his fingers one by one, and then
Geppetto,
his nose is
but it starts slowly going to the person's like eye or something.
Yeah, it's very
and
slow.
Geppetto's like, we need to get down there now.
Yeah.
And I have to stop him. And like he's running with some other kid. Maybe he's riding a donkey who
no.
was
Nope.
And Pinocchio's hiding in a giant whale mouth. And like, yeah,
he's with this so far has been a clean show, so I'm not gonna say what the joke name is, but Lampwick is the name of the kid. The other kid, maybe him and Lampwick are like maybe it's like the good it's like the good son. You know what I mean? Where but that's great. He's like right up against their face, and he's describing what he did, but saying, I definitely did not do this.
Yeah.
And his nose grows, and then the nose grows, and it's slowly going into the eye. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's a great scene. But here's the thing. Let me introduce this to you. Pinocchio is in the public domain. I say this because there is also a movie coming out same year. As far as I know, it's still in the works, by Guillermo del Toro. And let me show you what the Guillermo del Toro, Jiminy Cricket looks like. Because you were saying that you thought he should be...
I got no eyes upon my face. They're on my hands. Just like that other movie.
When you first said, I got no eyes upon my face, that's the design.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah.
It's
I
a
did
cricket.
see that, yeah.
It is just a cricket. It's still a designed cricket, but it looks like it's in James and the Giant Peach, but with like less
Which I thought,
humanistic features.
yeah, Disney would have went that route. So think about it, kind of.
Nope. It is a stop motion animated movie from Guillermo del Toro. It is going to come out this December on Netflix.
Yeah.
Which is great. And Lampwick is played by Finn Wolfhard. Ewan McGregor is the talking cricket, which I believe is probably because they can't say
Jiminy.
They can't say Jiminy. And Tilda Swinton is the fairy. They can't say the blue fairy. Yeah.
Okay. And then there's the Pauly Shore one, which I introduced.
Why do you not have that open right now?
I had to turn off my phone because I'm so popular.
Yeah, right.
But Pauly Shore as Pinocchio is perfect. Don't you know it would be more perfect if he played Geppetto?
What did he say? What did he say? I want to be a real boy. What was the one? Because you said that, but when we actually watched the trailer,
I want to be out on my own.
I want to be out on my own.
Father, when can I leave to be on my own? I've got the whole world to see.
Uncut Gems.
I mean, I was Josh Safdie's muse when he wrote Uncut Gems.
Right.
All right, we're gonna go into like a
Pinocchio. What what we should do? We should do it next year. We should do it early next year.
Yeah,
we'll just do a Pinocchio Ganza, where we'll just watch all the original. Should we do it in order? Because there's the original, there's the Italian one, which I think was made by the guy who did Life is Beautiful, or at least the actor is in it, playing Pinocchio, I think. And then there's another one that was an animated one. Then there is Pinocchio's Revenge, which of course we have to watch, and see if our death thing comes true. Then we have to watch the Guillermo del Toro one, and then the Disney one. Yeah, we gotta do it.
I'm sure there's. Wait, did you put the Pauly Shore one in there?
Oh, the Pauly Shore one, of course. Come on. Did you swear?
No.
Oh,
I'm sure I didn't.
Are you absolutely sure? Okay, because
is my nose growing?
So far, this has been yes, but very slowly.
It's the other way. My nostrils are getting bigger.
It doesn't grow long; it just goes wide.
Yeah.
That's a good one. You know, the thing is, if you lie and it grows, can you tell the truth and it shrinks? Right. So like you could undo it.
Yeah.
It's like a diet, like a nose diet. You just you like aggressively tell the truth and like, bring the nose back. Because otherwise, I don't know, you have to chop it off.
No, it just doesn't grow if you.
Yeah, but what if you
grows?
lie a bunch and your nose is like, are you always walking around like Roxanne, like Steve Martin? Roxanne?
Oh yeah, well I think
was it de Bergerac?
where
Cyrano
he's
de
like
Bergerac?
hiding behind a bush and telling the guy what to say to a gal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is a great description. Oh my god, I can't believe I never asked your description of what an NFT is.
Oh,
I want to pause this story because there's not really too much more to talk about. Let's pause the story. What do you think an NFT is? I'm just very curious.
An NFT. They're non-fungible digital art.
You were so close. Non-fungible token, but it is digital. Yes, a non-fungible token. It is usually digital art, or often digital art.
Where it's just not a physical piece of media, but from what I know, is part of a chain.
Blockchain.
A blockchain, yeah. So it's almost like you're part of the DNA of the thing, you know. You're so you don't have like, it's not like they mail you a thumb drive and go, you know, this is the original file. Like if I said, you know, sometimes you had your flash files where people can go and look. It's not like that.
You can do it now. The thing in the book, there's a thing in the book. You can go to that address.
You could actually a physical thing. Now NFTs don't work that way. You just kind of have it there.
Well, you could buy the ebook, and then you could go to the website and download the prize. So they would be all digital. But yeah, go ahead. Yeah. My book, Digital Animate CC, 12 Principles of Animation, Adobe Animate.
And but if you had an NFT, you could put it on a projector and have it on your wall, so it's displayed. But you own it.
That is a very, very small version of what NFTs are. But
did you see somebody do a cake at the Mona Lisa?
I did. Well, they first tried to smash the Mona Lisa, but not understanding that like one of the most famous pieces of art in the world is obviously going to be behind a bulletproof enclosure.
Yeah.
You're not going to smash that. So he had a cake and he threw the cake at it. And yes, I think he was dressed up like an old woman in a wheelchair, right?
Yeah.
And so he like stood up and he tried to smash it. And when that didn't work, he like smeared like the Mona Lisa's fine. And then he's like, I don't know, it was a French guy and he was yelling in French about like the world and about.
Yeah, it was to raise awareness on the planet.
You didn't do that.
Go to like a big smoky factory.
Yeah, you didn't do that.
Yeah.
That was not successful.
How about hunger? You just wasted a cake. How about world hunger?
Yeah. Yeah, he just let them eat caked them.
That's what the one of the queens said.
Marie Antoinette?
Yep.
Yeah. Boy. You know, I didn't realize the Strokes had been around for hundreds of years.
He was like, marry her? I hardly know her. Marry my aunt, Annette?
Marie Antoinette. Is that Marie Mary?
I'm not marrying my aunt, Antoinette.
Okay.
So that's what an NFT is.
Okay, great.
It's art you can't throw a cake at.
You know what? That's great. Can't throw a cake at it. Okay, is there anything else to talk about? I was going to say Winnie the Pooh. Pinocchio.
No, I think I am interested because I like the story of Pinocchio. So, and it doesn't look annoying like when you saw Tim Burton doing Dumbo. Like, why would you do that? If anything, Tim Burton could have done Pinocchio, but it would have been he would have looked all dumb.
It would have been starring Johnny Depp.
Yeah,
and
especially now.
Oh right,
before not.
Okay, moving on. That's the best I got.
All right.
Moving on.
Speaking of Disney,
reboots.
Yep.
Oh, that's not bad. What did we watch?
Chippendale
Rescue Rangers.
when there's danger.
Nope, you skipped the thing. But I mean, that is a thing in the line. We saw the movie.
Yeah.
Movie came out. We both saw it. And we have not really talked to each other about it because we talked a lot about it with the trailer. And honestly, I think that a lot of our feelings, our assessments, our predictions I feel like it was pretty good. It was pretty on the nose.
We did pretty good for a trailer that...
The first trailer.
Yeah. Because I felt like they gave us a lot in that trailer. And I think we dissected enough that when we actually saw the movie, I think we were pretty dang close.
That's true. Look at my notes, by the way. I took notes while I was watching it.
Smokes.
Those are the notes that I wrote. And
that is War and Peace.
Now, the reason that every time I think War and Peace, I think of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, 1990. They were playing Trivial Pursuit. What novel featuring 300 characters was set during the Napoleonic Wars?
That was a scene in the Turtles?
War and Peace. It was when Leonardo comes in. He's like, Splinter's alive. He's like, yeah, we know, Leo. We all think he's alive. I don't think I know. We just watched the movie recently, so like it's not that. I mean, I could probably I could probably quote the whole movie anyway. But anyway, So first, let's just do quick impressions. Did you like it?
I liked it. I wanted to like it a lot more. Like when I saw the Lego movie, I wanted that energy. Oh,
that's interesting.
I feel like the energy wasn't as fast-paced and jokey as I wanted it to be.
That's interesting. You wanted the energy of the Lego movie.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I do feel like it had a lot of jokes in there, but the thing, if they did the Lego movie energy, the amount of Easter eggs, I mean, someone's head would have exploded. Like, there's just too much to take in. Because let me just preface this by saying, animators, there is a lot of animation jokes in here.
Yeah.
And not just animation jokes like if you watch animation. I mean, like, doing animation, like different types of animation, the quirks that come with different types of animation. I know we saw in the trailer, with the Zemeckis. Oh my God, I didn't even say. Wow, I'm really having to go back and like fill in the gaps from previous discussions. But Pinocchio, the Disney live action hybrid Pinocchio, directed by Robert Zemeckis. That's why, that whole thing. So anyway, I was going to come around and say that when we got to this.
Yeah.
Was that, there's the Beowulf, and they even make a crack at the Polar Express. I got those Polar Express eyes that are like not looking anywhere.
Yeah.
But it's a guy who looks like he should be in Beowulf, both directed by Robert Zemeckis during his phase where he was obsessed with like motion capture, CG stuff. And anyway, there's a lot of animation jokes in here, and to the point where the plot of the movie centers around an animation business like joke that is also predicated on your understanding of IPs, on intellectual property and copyright. I think that's hilarious for a movie that itself is a use of its own IP. Like, there are so many intellectual property jokes in this movie. All of the background posters and everything. Batman versus E.T.
Oh, yeah.
That one everyone has seen. I don't want to give away all of the other ones. There's one that's very obvious that you can see, like right when you as you're like driving past the posters and things.
Okay.
But,
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. But there's a Batman versus E.T. is something that actually one of the characters even says, like, they sit down to like watch it. It's funny because seeing them talk about, or seeing them play out these IPs, these two things that are smashed together in a movie that itself is doing this. Obviously, it gets it gets a lot of comparisons to Roger Rabbit. And here's my question to you: is it worthy of that?
I'm gonna say no.
Why?
Because I feel like with Roger Rabbit, it was like a behind the industry thing, but I feel like story-wise was a lot stronger.
It was its own movie, for sure, yeah.
Human actors, a lot better.
Yes, yeah.
Eddie, as an actor, took the role very serious.
Yep.
And you believe that he was in this world. Over here, it just looked like the cop woman was talking to a green ball.
It wasn't a green ball. It was actually a little puppet, a little actual puppet.
Oh yeah, I did see the behind the scene thing.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, but I feel like story wise it was
Kiki Lane, by the way, is who you're talking about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But
she was in. Oh, I'm sorry. The Netflix movie was the one with God, why can't I remember? Charlize Theron. It was an action movie. It was The Old Guard. It's on Netflix.
Oh, I wouldn't have known that.
The action's pretty good. It's pretty fun. It's better than I thought it would be. It's better than I expected. If Beale Street Could Talk, that was her big breakout success. So like, we know she can act.
Yeah. It's hard to interact with cartoon characters.
She seemed also very excited to do it, but I was okay with it because she just kind of looked like she was on Sesame Street to me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was just that like overly smiley and yeah.
But I felt like the world, it was tiptoeing around a darkness, like a drug addiction, Hollywood washed up thing. And Who Framed Roger Rabbit did that perfectly, where, you know, when he dips that shoe in that dip,
right,
that shoe was murdered before our eyes. There was no tiptoeing or babying us. They were like, this isn't Bambi's mom dying off camera. We're killing this shoe, who was just trying to be loving and rub against what's his name? Who was the villain in there?
Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah.
I forgot his name. Yes, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I will say that, yes, it was on its own standalone noir, cop detective story, and it just had all these other characters that are in it. This one is much more knowing of the time.
Yeah.
But I am going to take the position of I'm going to give it a pass on that, because audiences now and what audiences expect. I think at the time of Roger Rabbit, the audience that they were going after was people who just like watched the movie, and they would get these characters from their childhood and stuff like that. And it was really just like playing off on the idea of this detective story first, and then the world of cartoons. And how many cartoons can we get? Oh, that's great. But I think that they still would have been able to make the movie if they weren't able to get all those cartoons. They would have done like versions of them, kind of thing. This one is kind of the other way around. This one is more like, well, people are so aware now. People are so much so that like everything in the Marvel universe now is alternate dimensions. It's the multiverse, right? And we talked about this before, about how the multiverse is just a way to get around rights. A friend of ours talks about this constantly. Every time he sees a Marvel movie that has anything to do with multiverse, I didn't like it because it's just so knowing now. Now I know that the reason that they got these guys and they were only in these shots is because the rights, didn't come through until last minute, and so they only got to shove them in, and they had to write other things. And yeah, okay, that's true. But comics have always been doing that kind of thing, and by putting in the multiverse, it means that you can undo stuff, and it means that you can DC is going a route where they just don't. I'll bring it back around, I swear. DC's going a route where they just don't care at all. They're just like, we're going to give this property to this person. You just do your own standalone thing. We're going to give this property to this person. Like the Joker and the Batman. Joker and the Batman.
Yeah.
It's like they took the from one and moved it over to the other. Anyway.
I'm waiting for Jokers.
Jokers? Like
Practical Jokers.
Game over, man. Game over.
It's just 5 Jokers, and then when there's an Oscar time, it's just you just see all the Jokers. It's all the Joker movies. Oh no, wait, it'll be the same movie. Never mind.
So, point is, in that one, they're not doing a multiverse thing. They're just being like, this is just a standalone. You like these characters, you know these characters. Here's a standalone thing. And sometimes there's crossover if they want to, but they're not building a whole universe. Yeah. The Marvel Cinematic Universe is a universe. They have said specifically this is a universe, and the Doctor Strange movie that we watched, like, you have to watch WandaVision to really get that whole thing. Yeah. If you don't, it's kind of okay, whatever. But if you do, then it's at least paying off on this stuff. And I feel like there's a lot of people who like that, and there's a lot of people who don't like that. But for better or for worse, people are very, very aware of who has the rights to Spider-Man, who has the rights to the X-Men, who has the rights to these characters. They're very aware of that. And so with Roger Rabbit, like if you were to make that now, people are very aware of who has the rights to these Disney characters, who has the rights to these Warner Brothers characters. It's Disney and Warner Brothers. Spoiler alert. But all these different characters. And there's been so many animated movies that now you might not exactly know who owns what, but some people might. And so this movie was Easter eggs the movie. Yeah. In a way where we look at Roger Rabbit now and we're like, oh, there's all these like Easter eggs in there. But I feel like at the time, it was not because audiences were so aware as they are now. This needed to hit a niche that Roger Rabbit didn't need to. So this story works and it's fine, but it's not the most amazing story, but it is very functional as a solid framework to put on top of it all these references and Easter eggs and things, but in a very self-aware way to where it didn't annoy me. Yeah. That is a success story all in its own. That many Easter eggs and references would normally annoy me. Yeah. But they did it in a way where I appreciated it.
Yeah. And it felt like later on in the years of where Roger Rabbit was. So it feels like that Roger Rabbit happened in that world, and this is like how everything is still, it's grown from there.
Now the corporate landscape. Yeah. After like 3 decades after that world. So the comparison, I think, is an unfair comparison because they are 2 completely different movies for 2 completely different audiences. I, however, would say, taking into account the audiences and taking into account what is being made now versus what is being made then and what you can get made now. Yeah. How you can have Ugly Sonic in the movie. Literally by just being a parody, like using parody law to put Ugly Sonic in your movie. That's a kind of thing that I think fans appreciate now, whereas... And they see it and they kind of understand the magnanimity of seeing.
But you can't make like a Ugly Sonic movie.
No, you can't make but you can have Ugly Sonic in there as a character, and because it's not, it's very obvious not Sonic. It's not voiced by the same character or anything like that. Yeah. And it's a whole thing. I'm just saying that I think that the comparison to me, I think is accurate. I think this is. I mean, people talk about Space Jam 2. I still haven't seen it. Saving that for us. But I heard a lot of people talk about that as being a Roger Rabbit. I think this one is kind of more what people are thinking. Roger Rabbit can never be made again.
I've heard
this is about as close as you can get, I think.
People were saying this is what they wanted Space Jam 2 to be.
Probably.
And it seemed like, because they were using all their like IP things and all that. So it looked like it was going to be an industry thing. My one thing about this was, they did do the industry stuff, but from the trailer, it looked more like a special of like, I liked how the trailer handled it, talking about Chip and Dale being like almost like you're watching this on the E channel or something.
Right.
Where are they now kind of thing.
Yes.
And I feel like I kind of wanted more of that. That
like a
aspect
feature
of it.
length behind the music, but
Yeah,
I gotcha.
I wanted more of that. And
gotcha.
I think my other I did enjoy the movie, but my other complaint is the whole school thing where they met in school and Dell was being bullied, and I felt like it should have been them in the tree from the 50s and them kind of working on this pitch for the Chip and Dale series. Like, I feel like if they did more of that, I would have liked that. I hate the we met in school storyline.
Yeah, I guess so. It is funny because that is something that you should probably know from the movie is that this is Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. This is not Chip and Dale from the 50s cartoons or whatever. Yeah. I guess that's when it was, but whenever they were, this isn't those Chip and Dale. This is Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. This is the
notice. Not unless they were in the background.
Like they don't even reference that.
You didn't see any Mickey Mouse,
no.
Goofy, Donald Duck was mentioned.
Yeah,
but I think
in the opening scene, Donald Duck was mentioned.
So I think they did take a big risk with doing this and using their characters,
right?
But not enough to have those characters in there just in case, maybe, But I think it felt more when I saw the trailer. It felt like it was a little more cynical than, but it's still being made by that studio. This is my point: is that you cannot make the movie that you're talking about. Yeah. I'm looking for Cool World,
right?
With Disney's Cool World.
Maybe the only way that you could do it really is maybe Warner Brothers. But I mean, we've heard so many behind the scenes stuff of Warner Brothers that it seems like a mess.
Yeah,
that I feel like that may be even more difficult.
They are doing a Wile E. Coyote movie. I don't know. It keeps going on and off, but Wile E. Coyote suing acting kind of thing, which might be something more of what I'm looking for. But
I think that the movie that you're looking for is not a movie that can be. Roger Rabbit was a genre film.
Yeah.
That also that was set in this world, and so it kind of merged. It was a mashup, basically. It was a mashup of two styles. This one is not a mashup of two styles. It is a very simple, very solidly structured story. This story is not complicated. I could describe it in maybe 3 sentences. Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. Done.
Yeah.
It's very simple. But what they do with it, the branches have to be so strong that you can hang a million little ornaments on it. That's kind of what it is. It's just a ridiculous
Christmas tree. That Chip and Dale.
I know.
That's where you're going for.
Thank you. Yeah, you did. That's okay. But as long as you got, it's that thing like, are you picking up what I'm putting down? You did. You picked it up before I even put it down. You just like ran away with it.
Yeah. What is your thought on the whole? There's a Peter Pan controversy. Oh my God, controversy. Listen, I just got dental work done, so I'm gonna blame it on that. Even though I would have made the same mistake with a full mouth of teeth.
Full mouth of teeth.
All right.
A full mouth of teeth is just the weirdest way to say a full head of teeth.
Yeah.
A full mouth of teeth.
It just sounds like I'm eating teeth. Like popcorn.
Yeah. What is what was the shoot. Bronson's? Is it Bronson's human teeth? It's something like that. Anyway, go ahead. Thompson's teeth.
Okay, yeah.
Thompson's teeth. You never saw this before?
I don't think I have.
Drama is brought to you by Thompson's Teeth, the only teeth strong enough to eat other teeth.
Oh my God, I never seen that. Oh, that crunch.
I know, it's great.
Okay, so the Peter Pan controversy.
Oh,
have you heard about
yes,
this?
I have, yes.
Now, do you think, because in my head, I would, no, they wouldn't do that. But the writers, who are all comedians, I would imagine them hearing this sad story and saying, wouldn't it be funny if Peter Pan was this like washed up guy who is angry at the company and wanted to get revenge?
I mean, I don't know that it went that far. I think it was. There's two ways to think about it. And I think both are probably true to some extent. I'm sure someone knew. Like someone has to know when going through the process of writing it and draft after draft and reading it and whatever. Someone had to read that and be like, oh, that's kind of like Bobby Driscoll. But I don't know if the creation of it was this is it. It was just, I think it's as simple as this character, this animated character that we have the rights to, is specifically a character that does not grow up.
Yeah.
And then he grows up, right? But the other thing that makes me think that maybe they did know it is that, well, none of the other animated characters get older. I mean, they do, but they look the same. I mean, Chip looks the same.
Yeah.
All the animated characters look the same. I mean, some characters look like they get older, I guess. But yeah, they're, you know what I'm saying? I feel like to some extent, I feel like they probably did.
What we talked about earlier, where you wouldn't want to have 9/11 imagery
right
in a thing.
Yeah, this is. Yeah, I'm gonna say that he died in 1968.
Yeah,
very young. He was like 30. And it's a very sad story. He was buried in an unmarked grave, I think, because they didn't know who it was when he was found dead, I think. Something like that. I'm not I don't really know the full story. I probably should have. I didn't know we were going to do like a thing on this. I wasn't going into the whole thing, but yeah, no, I saw it as well.
A lot of people were, especially if you hate the movie, you even hate it even more. Like
sure.
If you another reason to hate it.
I'm not going to say that they didn't do it on purpose, but I'm not going to say that they also did it on purpose. I think that there's probably a case for both
I'm just saying,
situations.
They should have let their conscience be their guide with that one.
Which one? Real cricket or green animated cricket?
The green, the real,
the Jiminy version.
Yeah.
Jiminy Conscience. Got it. Yeah, it's a sad story, and like I said, I don't really know much about it, but I know that it's one of those classic sad stories that there's a lot of that from early. Listen. Read up on any of the Disney child actors.
Oh yeah, Snow White couldn't do any more acting anywhere after.
Oh yeah, that was. I mean,
like
that was
a whole contract.
Yeah, that was a whole thing.
Oh, Disney. I wanted that Disney. I wanted Disney to be like, yeah, we're evil, and here's a movie that's gonna be more evil. Why do I have such anger and hate in my heart?
I don't know.
Why do I want?
But like, I mean, Tommy Kirk.
No.
Okay, Tommy Kirk died recently, and yeah, you want to know anything about how awful Disney was when it was. Disney had a particular brand, had a particular type of quote wholesome brand that it was trying to cultivate, and you're talking 50s wholesome, Leave It to Beaver kind of stuff.
Yeah.
There are certain things that are going to make Disney go, oh yeah, no, you can't be gay. That's impossible.
Yeah.
And yada, yada, yada. You know how the story goes. So anyway, I wouldn't put it past them to reference that, thinking that maybe, I don't know, like 50, 60 years have passed and maybe it's okay to make that comment or joke and, you know, maybe, I don't know. But maybe not. I don't want to go too much on that. That's like, that's a whole part of this that I feel like I don't know anything about it. And I feel like TikTok has been its normal conjecturing self throughout this whole thing. So we'll know more about it, I'm sure, at some point, and then we can determine if it's, you know, I wasn't grossed out about it because the storyline is not exactly like that. It's very surface level. The idea that he grows older and, you know, they kind of like toss him aside. That's basically it.
Yeah,
and you see him in the trailers.
It's a pretty obvious joke that it would not, you know, the backstory behind that voice actor of the character itself.
Yeah. It's unfortunately, it's like one of those things where you say something that's like super ridiculous and then it turns out to be true. And like, well, I mean, that's because I was doing something that sounded like it would be true. It's because it's such a likely story that it would be true.
Yeah. And it would be like making Pinocchio a lawyer. Because then like he'll lie.
Right. Yeah. Again, maybe they did it on purpose. I don't know. So let's move on from there because there's nothing else to. Okay. But let's talk about the animation, though, because actually I have a whole bunch of things on here that I wanted to say about all the Easter eggs and things like that, but I'm going to skip over all that because I'm just telling you there is a metric ton of Easter eggs in here.
Yeah.
And they're all IP. And
Randy Marsh, Butthead, we saw. It was interesting. That's it.
Sure. Yeah. All that. I mean, there's a lot of. I did appreciate that MC Scat Cat was in it with Paula Abdul. She's actually in it, and it was great, and it was very fun. Paula Abdul also shows up in season 2 of Made for Love, and I just think, Paula, you're back. I mean, I know she's been in like reality shows, but like, you know, she's in like it's you know, it's our childhood selves just retaining
a childhood crush.
Childhood crush. Then Roger Rabbit. Mm-hmm. I mean, voiced by the same voice actor,
and they did a lot of jokes that I've been making for years.
Yep.
Roger Rabbit doing a Roger Rabbit. Chippendales being compared to Chippendale dancers.
I have it in my notes.
Covered all of that.
First minute they make a Chippendale joke.
Yeah.
Yeah. The within the first minute. And also I appreciated that they had Friendship by Tenacious D in the beginning. Friendship is rare.
Oh.
Right in the beginning.
Oh, wow.
During the school.
Part.
Friendship is rare. Do you know what I'm saying to you?
That you didn't like.
Maybe that's why I didn't recognize it.
Yeah, there were some things in there that I was going to look up later, and I never did, like a cameo on Full House they referenced. It's like right in the beginning. And I don't know if they ever did anything like that.
Yeah, it was...
Because I know they went to Disney World.
Yeah, that was just them saying like they're actors when they were in like shows.
And then they have Chippendale TV show footage. I think, I only watched this once, mind you. I didn't go back and watch it, but I think that I wonder, I feel like it was real footage from the TV show that they switch out on a cut to be the new animated CG versions when they laugh and they pause and then it's like, okay, cut, and they're on set. But I want to go back and I want to watch it because I wonder if they actually used real footage from the TV show. I feel like I might have heard
that they reanimated it.
Well, I'm sure they have to reanimate it to do the transition right. But I feel like I wonder if they had used actual footage from the TV show to then transition to their animated versions, or if they just animated it from the beginning, because I feel like that first shot that I saw looks like the original show. Yeah. And then there was a shot where I was like, oh, that looks like the lines are doing this weird thick thin thing. So let's talk about the animation.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, we were right. There are The background characters that look hand-drawn are hand-drawn. The main characters that are supposed to be hand-drawn are CG modeled with a rendering on it to make it look hand-drawn.
Yeah.
And then there's Pete. Pan.
Oh, yeah.
You see him in the trailer, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not spoiling that he is in the movie. So we're not going to talk about who he is in the movie, just that he's there. And I hated watching him. There's one thing that I hate about CG modeled characters with a rendering that goes on top to make it look 2D. One thing that I hate, and that is seeing the teeth inside the mouth so perfectly pearly white. It looks like an old video. That's the thing that makes it look like an old video game to me. Like a Dragon Ball, whatever, those kinds of games. It's when he's talking and he opens his mouth, you can see like his molars, and they are perfectly white.
Wow, I didn't think about that.
It looks weird. I can't not look at it. It's weird.
I didn't focus on the teeth. You were focusing on the teeth the way they focused on Ugly Sonic's teeth, where it was like zoomed in.
No. It's not. It's not that. It's a subconscious thing. It's just that like you're never supposed to see teeth way back inside the mouth that bright. You don't in life. You know what it looks like? It looks like gum. It looks like there's just a piece of gum that someone's chewing on. It's like there all the time. It's very distracting for me. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
A lot of the animation, like Monterey Jack and like a couple of other characters, look like when a video game goes on. What do you call it? In between the games, they show like a little
cutscene. Yeah,
but it kind of looked like early PlayStation a little bit.
Sure,
it was a little distracting.
Yep.
But I feel like Chip and Dale themselves weren't as bad because they were the main characters. But like, yeah. This was a Disney Plus thing. Maybe if it was in theaters, they would have polished it a little more. But some of it kind of just looked, they looked very kind of like floaty. I don't know. It looked weird.
So this is the only one that I can find. I'm just, it's literally the only one I can find. But you see that little bit of, but it's like that when his face is to the side, like a 3/4 angle, and he's like opening his mouth. You can see his teeth are a perfect horseshoe, and you can see like the back part of the horseshoe, like all the way. It's really weird.
I think you're the only person I would notice something like that.
I know, but to me, it brings up something that I wanted to talk about, which is exactly that. You're saying, like, there's main characters, there's some, the main characters, like we said. I mean, Monterey Jack looks okay in like some of his scenes, but he's also not in a lot of them. Gadget also looks good. I don't know. I feel like maybe because of the amount that they're actually in the movie, maybe that's why they look okay. Chip does also look okay, but there was one thing during a scene, I think it was at like the police station, and they're supposed to be having this kind of a heart-to-heart kind of thing. And I was getting a decent amount of emotion from Dale, but not a lot from Chip. And throughout the movie, I was noticing that, and I was thinking maybe it's just John Mulaney, his voice as Chip. Maybe it's very dry. Even when his voice has an intonation that goes up and down, it doesn't really feel very textured. But Andy Samberg's voice does. Like they're both, I think, probably scaling the same amount of octaves that each other are. But something about John Mulaney's voice sounds a little bit smoother, sounds a little bit less textured than Andy Samberg's. Dale, and it might be some of the stuff that he's saying, but in the expressions in the face, I know that they were doing expressions. I just for some reason wasn't getting very much. Then it clicked in the police scene. They're both CG, right?
Yeah.
I was getting expressiveness from Dale, even though his design is that awful CG kind of realistic chipmunk, whatever. But the thing is, when it's that realistic with the fur and everything, you don't really have to move the eyes all that much or move the mouth all that much in order to read on something, because the fur is kind of pulling, there's shadow, there's all sorts of stuff that's going into these little micro maneuvers. So you're getting a bit of acting there. When you take that model and you strip out all of that texturing, all that subsurface scattering, all the stuff that would go into giving a bit of life to the texture on top of the face, it's just flat color, then you have to animate the eye changes more. You have to animate the expressions more. You have to push the expressions a bit more when the texturing or the coloring is flat on Chip. Chip was, I think, animated the way you would normally animate a CG character and had fine expressions, but was rendered in a way that made him look 2D. That made him look kind of like, flat colored. No light is affecting it at all. There's no texture there. Yeah. So there's nothing to feel like when his lower lid comes up. You can't really feel that subtle change. The only way that you can see that change is in the literal shape of his eye, because you can't see the shadow around the orb that's, his bottom eyelid or his top eyelid or anything like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to do more. That's where I think it felt off. That's where I think that also the background characters looked really good, because they were hand drawn. I don't think the skill of animation is different. I think the skill of animation to the CG characters was about the same as the 2D characters. It's just the skill of the CG characters was more in tune to a kind of traditional CG rendering, whereas it wasn't being rendered that way. It was being rendered like it was supposed to look like 2D, and they didn't adapt to that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like that clicked when I was watching it. I actually went, oh, I actually said it out loud. I was by myself. And when I realized it, I started noticing it for the rest of the movie. It was like the last like 20 minutes of the movie. It's like, oh, I nailed it.
There's a fight scene with the Clay character that I kind of really like the way, like if that was a short film or something, it was kind of, some shots were kind of creepy looking.
Creepy. It was basically, yes. I mean, there was some shots that were taken directly from Terminator 2. And I mean, a lot of the fight was taken from Terminator 2. But you bring up a good point about the Clay character, voiced by J.K. Simmons. He is my favorite character in the movie.
Yeah.
His animation is awesome and definitely CG. Like, not clay animated. He's definitely CG. But there is a perfect example of something where the CG animation still can be done in kind of a cartoony design, but they were able to render it in a way that was like, no, he's actually clay that's there. It's not a cell painting. And so there's some shadows that are there, and they do some fun things with his mouth and how it kind of moves around. And I just thought he was animated very, very well. And he was the most fun. And when he, like, during that fight scene that you're talking about, when he really does like a lot of stuff, it's great. It's like that's like the final coming out for his characters. You get some fun stuff, and then it's this big fight scene. It's great. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I like some of the gags they did where he had the like evidence on his hand, printed on his hand, and he just kind of
I wish, and that was a great thing. But I wish, so he gets fingerprints on his. He gets a fingerprint on his hand.
Yeah.
And then he kind of like cuts it off, he shaves it off, and then he puts it in a bag and he gives it to evidence. And that was great because I saw that and I was like, oh my God, it's silly putty. Because that's what you do with silly putty. Didn't you ever take silly putty and like put it on the newspaper, put it on the comics pull it up? And then there is another scene where that happens and I go, oh, initially I was like, oh great, they actually did the silly putty thing. And then he says it out loud. Yeah. And I was like, you didn't need to do that.
And he actually says, remember that?
Yes, right, exactly. I think that kind of stuff is stupid, but I liked all of that kind of. I liked the different animation. I thought that it was not. I thought it was not the best animation that I had ever seen, but for a movie with as many different animation styles, directed by a guy who's never done anything with animation, let alone I don't know if he's ever done any. I mean, I guess visual effects stuff. I mean, everyone who's directed live action things has done something with visual effects, but I feel like they did a really good job for. And God, I was going to say for a Disney Plus movie, but what I mean is like the budget was decent.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of things that were working against this. And no offense to animators listening to an animation podcast when I say, if the story doesn't work, it doesn't matter how good your animation is. It'll please us, but it's not going to matter at all. You have to split your attention other way. And I think that they paid enough attention to the story to make it serviceable. They got in a lot of jokes, a lot of Easter eggs, a lot of things that I appreciated as an animator, a lot of things that I think people would appreciate in their 30s, a lot of people that I think people would appreciate now. I think a lot of kids would find it funny because it's at that pace. It's a good pace. There's some good slapstick type things in there. There's basically something for everyone, but in a way that doesn't feel as corporate. I think because they're doing a tongue-in-cheek wink and a nod kind of thing. I thought it was very successful, and then they also made a movie that actually looked pretty good. It's just, to me, I'm going to say one final thing. You say that it can't be Roger Rabbit because it's not a like noir detective film with these animated characters and stuff that's in there. It was like, it was a good solid movie, but it also had these other things. There is a movie like that. It is called Detective Pikachu.
Oh.
And I am not joking about that. I watched it. I think it was on Hulu. I watched it during the pandemic. I was like, sure, I'll check it out. I put it on, loved it.
Really?
I don't know anything about Pokemon at all. And I'm not saying that in the bragging way of like, oh, I'm saying legitimately it was a little past my time, meaning that by that time I already was like, that's for kids, that's for babies. Like it was that and, Dragon Ball Z and stuff. All that stuff was just a little bit past where I could have gotten into it. Like I needed to get into it much younger. It's just a little bit past that. And it's never come across me again. I've never seen it. I never played the games, never saw any of the movies. So I went into it absolutely 100% cold. And I loved it. I thought it was great. Not only that, the animation, the visual effects, amazing.
Really?
Amazing. They did something that we talk about so much, and I know I'm kind of saying this in a little review about another movie that I also liked, but it was a noir detective movie. It turns into something else also, but you got to watch it. I'm not going to give anything away. There's a whole thing about it.
Yeah.
Where Pikachu speaks. He talks.
Yeah. Oh, I know about that. Yeah. Oh.
Well, I was like, why does Pikachu talk? The explanation, I really enjoyed it. I really liked it. I thought the movie was very satisfying. There were some parts that were like, the acting could be a little bit better here or whatever. But I mean, that's in like any movie. But I thought the story was good. I thought the mystery kind of thing was good. If you don't know anything about Pokemon, I guess. I don't know if people saw it coming from a mile away because you know Pokemon. For me, I didn't know anything. And for someone who doesn't know anything about Pokemon, not that I hate it. I just don't care about it. So if that's you, you might like it. You might go into it. You might enjoy it.
See, I put it on for my nephew one time, and nephew's and niece, and like I just had it on, and I didn't pay any attention to it, and just
It's totally one of those kinds of movies where if you don't pay attention to it, it's not going to be a thing. I feel like that's probably Roger Rabbit for our parents. I know Daffy Duck and I know Mickey Mouse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's something that they probably could have put on and just not really paid attention. The animation's also so good. They do characters that do not look like they should be real at all. They're very cutesy characters. But the rendering and the way they put them into the world is done with like perfect lighting. It looks like they're real. I thought it was very, very well done. It's like exactly what you say you should. And it's what they did, I think, with the new updated Sonic. So I think that's probably what happened. Didn't we say this? I think I brought up Detective Pikachu even when we were talking about Sonic, I think. Because they did this super realistic, ugly Sonic.
Yeah.
And we're like, you don't need to do that anymore. Because you have Detective Pikachu over here doing this like super cartoony looking character that looks great in a real world.
Yeah.
You can have it, you can have both. Anyway, I just wanted to say that.
What a twist.
Right?
In this podcast.
Right?
Did not see that coming.
I know.
Unlike Chippendale.
Well, okay, yeah, sure. You can see it's not there is no turn in it that
I know I'm sounding like I don't like it. I didn't like it, but I did enjoy it.
You did enjoy it. I enjoyed it. I would like, I would probably like to watch it again just because it was a fun watch. I think that there was like some fun sequences in there and I think I liked a lot more than I was expecting to.
Yeah. And I think it's important to give something like this a shot because then it's doing something completely different where it's not.
Oh my God. How do we not talk about this?
What?
Every single movie you talk about how you hate how they make cartoons rap.
Oh yeah.
They bring that up in the movie and I don't mind saying this is not a spoiler. If you know anything about movies, it is basically Chekhov's rap because like as soon as you say it, you have to do it.
Yeah.
And the way that they do it, the way they work it into the story is excellent. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. I was surprised by that one.
I really enjoyed it.
There were a couple of moments where I was like, "Oh wow, they went there."
Yeah. I liked I liked Dale's New York accent. So I also felt like Dale is that actor. He's basically Joey Tribbiani as an actor, where like he you know what I mean? He's not great, but he's just so like enthusiastic
and
go Yanks and hot dogs and bagels and pizza. That was his New York accent.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the cameos they worked perfectly because they were in like a Comic-Con situation.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like. There's my neighbor.
Yep.
Totoro. Oh, that would have been pretty funny.
Yeah.
There's my neighbor, Totoro. And then he's like waving. That would have been a good joke.
So there was a couple things I said about animation jokes. And there's one scene, which I think this is an animation joke that I think has been passed. Nobody has written it down yet. So I want to say it first.
Yeah.
There's a machine that has gotten Dale. And Chip is trying to pull him out of it. And he's like, why won't you stretch? And I think that was supposed to be a squash and stretch joke about he got this CG makeover. And now that he is a CG character and not a 2D character, he's got no squash and stretch. He can't stretch. I think that's what it was because they do a lot of references to animation style stuff in there. There's just a lot of gags. For me to even say anything about these gags is not. There's a 3D in your face news, right? And to call news like in your face is funny, but then 3D news, it's this woman who's like red and blue, and she gets up super close to the screen. It's great. There is a Skeletor and He-Man.
I was waiting for you to bring that up. I thought it was just going to be their feet.
You boob.
When they show their feet, I was like, "Oh, that's cool." They're showing that like they're underneath their table. But then
there's a lot of feet jokes in there too. You saw the ruby slippers that were in there, and I don't know if that was someone who was just like dressed up. But there's the other thing is there's a line. There's one of the lines that made me laugh really hard was, I guess my character from the old show and my character in real life are exactly the same.
Oh, yeah.
That made me laugh really hard because that is in so many movies and TV. It's stuff like that I feel like every time you kind of thought that they had everything, they kept making these jokes. It was either a joke about animation, or it was a joke about IP, or it was a joke about or it was a joke about the story, it was a joke about the business, or it was a joke about these types of hybrid movies. It was always a joke that was kind of like that.
Yeah. And
I think that there's enough things where you can pause and you can see, be on the lookout for a movie called Stupid the Elephant Baby.
Yeah.
There's so many like really great things there, but the way that they ended with the song, the final credit song, also made me laugh pretty hard.
Yeah.
No, it was great.
Yeah,
I thought it was fantastic, and I think that there's if you're an animator listening to this podcast, you're gonna enjoy it. I think because there's enough there for you. I think there are plenty of people who had decided that they hated it before they watched it, and that was it. And I feel like our whole thing was why is animation Twitter so upset about this?
Yeah.
Because man, they just got all over it. It's just like, let it go, see what happens when it comes out. And I thought it was delightful.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And if you even say that on Twitter, they'll attack you.
Dude, we just spent an hour reviewing our mini review.
Oh, that's like another podcast.
I know. But you know what? Because we've been gone for so long.
Yeah.
We're not going to do that to you. We're going to give you this extra long episode where you listen to us ramble on and on. And you know what? You can tell us if you don't want that to happen again. because I am more than happy to. These episodes have gotten so long because honestly, we can just go on and talk about a lot of stuff. But
now we're moving on to Bob's Burgers.
Well, we're gonna do another episode on Bob's Burgers because there's a lot to talk about. It's like 12 seasons in a movie. There's a lot. There's a lot to talk about with Bob's Burgers, and there's a lot surrounding it. It's not just the movie. It's the ownership. It's the production rights. It's the way that they produce the things and what they were able to do with it and expectations and all sorts of stuff. So
it's a lot of ingredients.
Oh yeah,
it's a big meaty topic.
Yeah, it's like an overstuffed burger.
Yeah, and it was well done.
Mine was medium well, but that's how I like it.
It's rare when a movie is like that,
Well, maybe we'll catch up next time.
Man, I relish in the thought of that.
You must-heard.
Buns.
Let us wrap up this podcast now.
Yeah, we could talk about that tomato tomorrow.
I was trying to work in sesame. I don't know what that sesame.
Well, I'm hungry now, so I think we should just end this. Check, please.
Oh, nice. Well, got any tips?
Leave a good review on Yelp if you like this podcast. I'm sure I'll have something by Friday.
Oh, so salty. I think it's time to shake it up. This podcast is getting too vanilla. All right, let's... You've already started sweating?
Oh, man, I know I'm going to make a bunch of jokes after.
Hey, thanks for sticking with us. I don't know if we really said it last time because we weren't really back. But now, hey, we recorded in person.
Yeah.
We'll do more of this. We're not always going to record in person. Sometimes we're going to have to record, on the computer because, our lives, we both have jobs and things. And we're probably going to discuss our release times at a later date. We're still kind of working some things out. We want to make sure that we have some that's a little regular and expected, but also isn't, that we're not killing ourselves over it. We both have, higher profile jobs now that just are a bit more,
which is very important.
Expectant of our time is what I was getting at. Our lives are, as lives tend to do. They get a little bit more complicated, but we always kind of come back here to this. This is this is the first love, as they say. Mm-hmm. So anyway, thank you for sticking around, and thanks for sticking around for a roughly 3-hour podcast. Also,
yeah,
I mean, I don't know. We'll probably edit it down. Maybe
had a long trip somewhere.
Yeah.
Got to listen to this whole thing.
I mean, I feel like, you could listen to it in bits. That's what's nice about the animation news of the week, kind of stuff. And like this little mini review, you could, kind of split them up and listen to them in little pieces. But anyway, that'll do it for this episode of the Rubber Banding Animation Podcast. I already said thank you, so I'm going to hand it over to my friend, fellow animator, and co-host, Mr. Rob Yofo. Tell him how you can follow me in the internets.
You could go on Twitter, I'm Rob Yofo, and Instagram, and, I still have a YouTube channel where I post questionable things. It could be funny, maybe not, swinger hit or miss. But
swing or miss.
Mostly miss. Got some funny things on TikTok as well, I'm all over this thing. And I'm like an NFT, it's just like I'm there, but I don't exist. But Stephen Brooks, how about you?
Non-fungible talent. I'm Stephen Brooks. I'm the Rubber Onion. You can follow me at Rubber Onion everywhere, like Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Tumblr, Google+, Newground, SoundCloud, and Instagram, even though Google Plus doesn't exist anymore and Tumblr is a dead space. Yep. I just remember saying all those things. Anyway, thanks for listening to this podcast, and we will see you next time, relatively soon, and we're probably going to do the Boss Burgers review right after this, I think. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, everyone.
See you.
Bye-bye. Do me a favor. Can you take that cord, because you keep shaking your foot, and I think it's going to pop. I think it's going to be on the recording. Can you take it and, put it around that end there? See, right,
I thought you were going to say around my neck.
Right there. Split it around your neck.
Your neck end.
I just want to make sure that, you're not... Yeah, there we go.
Oh.
Just off your foot. Oh, almost. Yeah. There it is. Okay, great. All right. And we're back.